Welcome to Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tyshawn Jackson, here with another episode of my co-host, Ryan Ketchens.
I'm liking this format, man. So listen, when we sit next to each other like this, you already know it's about to be an epic episode, and we got something very special, okay?
It is. I'm so excited. I already told the ladies because the table is decorated with beautiful ladies today on the Hardly Initiated set. How many times do you come to the set and see 5 beautiful people here today?
Oh,
Yes.
Where you get that from?
They usually only get 2.
Yeah, we usually only get 2. We going a little crazy today, but we had to because y'all seen what this about. Today we have 3 beautiful ladies revealing why they called off the wedding on today's episode. And we're going to do it with none other than these 3 here. And let's go ahead and introduce them. I'm going to start here with a regular here on the platform, third time appearing. We are in here rocking with the actress and host of It's Giving podcast, Sarah Fontenot. Welcome back to Hardly Initiated.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. I'm very excited to have you back here, Sarah. We're going to have a good conversation.
It's going to be great.
It is.
I'm emptying every bullet out of this clip. I just want you to know.
Really?
I said that from my chest. You felt it?
Okay.
It's like that.
Oh, yes.
Is it just this specific topic that's
No,
got you turned
I
up,
feel
or-
like, and we're going to talk about it, but there are so many people that get trapped in relationships they shouldn't be in because they didn't hear these conversations. So I'm letting it out. You know?
We're gonna listen, y'all gonna get saved today. All right. And we in here also
Praise the Lord.
today.
Praise be.
A couple new first timers here on the show today. We are actually in here with the 7-figure entrepreneur and online coach, Chelsea Goriello. I'm sorry, it's Goriello.
Hello.
She told me this before the show, y'all, and I still messed it up. My bad, Chelsea.
Okay, it's okay.
Chelsea, welcome to Hardly
Thank
Initiated.
you so much for having me, you guys. It's an honor to be here, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Man, I am
It's gonna be
too.
good for sure.
All the way from Cali up in this joint, huh?
All the way from Vegas, but
Same
not
thing.
far
West
from
Coast.
Cali.
West
You know.
On the way.
It's okay.
Gosh,
Right
the
coast.
West
Yeah,
You're on the
flew
right
in just
coast.
for this. I'm really excited.
Ooh, another round of applause on that one, Lano. You talking about people changing time zones for the Hardly Initiated podcast?
In
I'm
and
loving
out,
that.
In and out.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
We're very excited to
appreciate
have you here.
Thank you.
And then there was one. We are in here with the managing attorney of the Backus firm.
That is correct.
Brittany Backus is here on the platform. Welcome to Hardly Initiated.
Hey, thank you.
I'm about to say, come on, y'all, don't play on the hand clap now. All right? She deserves a hand clap. Welcome to Hardly Initiated.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it too. And she's emptying the clip, and I'm gonna drop all the tea. So you know what I'm saying? We're doing what we do.
It's that kind of episode today, y'all. So y'all better tune in and stay tuned and get your notepads. Go ahead and share this episode as far as you can right now. Get some people in here because this is going to be fun. We are going to get y'all involved in the conversation a little bit later, but right now we got to show some love to our episode sponsor. Before we get into it, Ryan, tell them who is sponsoring this amazing episode.
So guys, check this out. So I went over to my buddy's house. It was a couple nights ago. And he was telling me he went out on a date, went to a nice dinner, brought the young lady back over to the crib. So of course, I'm asking him like, yo, so what happened? Now, that's the thing. He tells me, you know, she ended up leaving early. And I'm like, what you mean she left early? He said she didn't know how to play Uno. And that kind of slowed down the night.
Okay.
And my thing was, I had to tell him, I'm like, yo, I'm going to get you a pack of these Hardly in Love dating deck. Because you don't got to know how to play.
Yeah.
All you got to do is pull a deck out, ask a question, answer a question.
Yeah.
And if you would have did that, it could have spiced things up a little bit better.
You know, unfortunately, all of us don't know how to carry on an amazing conversation.
Correct.
So if you don't, we got your back. Matter of fact, even if you do, I'm sure some things in here that you have not covered. So go ahead and get your Hardly in Love decks. You dropping them in the chat or in the description? Where
I'm
can you
dropping
find
that
it?
all over. So you can check out the first tab of the description, and you can check out the link in the bio and the chat. Dropping that right now.
Incredible. All right. So big shout out to the episode sponsor with Hardly in Love. And actually, speaking of Hardly in Love, what a fitting phrase for this episode.
Hardly in love.
Because that might be a very fitting phrase to pop off this show because we got ladies in here calling off wedding proposals in here. And this is an interesting topic. This is interesting. And what I want to do, Chelsea, you kind of just sitting over there by yourself.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
So parts of me want to start with you. And before we get into it, I want to just get a level of a backstory on this so we can all just get some context. about the story and the perspective that you're about to give. So if you can, just give us some information about the guy. Tell us a little bit about the guy that you were actually dating, so we can just get a profile of who the brother is that this happened. You ain't got, you know what I'm saying? Just give us a profile.
Okay. So my ex-fiance and I were together for 7 years.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes. And we were actually best friends for, I want to say, about 8 years before we ever entered into a relationship. He was someone who always kind of wanted to be with me and made that known from the beginning, friendship phase. But I was always in a relationship. So he was friend zoned and probably should have remained in the friend zone. But, But yeah, we were together for 7 years and it was an amazing relationship. He did some time before we ever entered our relationship while we were friends. He was incarcerated for a couple years.
Oh, wow.
And during that time, we bonded even more. And I was able to watch him go from being, a wild Atlanta young man to being a lot more disciplined, a lot more structured, a lot more, discipline and all the things that come with being incarcerated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so day one of him being home, we linked up and I got to see in real time in person this level up, this changed man. And I was like, oh, you're not going nowhere.
Right.
Like, you
Right.
are him.
Love and
Yes, this
friendship.
is perfect. Like you made all of the changes, all of the things that I was never attracted to when we were friends, the wild, the crazy, the going out, partying. All that was done. And I was just like, yeah, I could build with you. We can do amazing things together. Your head's on right. And let's do this. Let's do life together. And so from the minute he came home from prison, literally the next day, we were inseparable for 7 years. We now have 2 beautiful kids together. And that's that. So,
How old? Because I know this was 7 years ago. How old were you then when you guys first started dating?
I think I was like 27 when he first came home. Yep.
And so you really wasn't attracted to all that wild, because some of the ladies, they kind of like the wild, the edge
Yeah.
on a guy.
No,
Not-
by the time he came home from prison, I was done with like the whole bad boy thing. I had lived through many crazy situations and I was really ready to settle down. Like I was ready for a family and I was ready to be a wife. I was ready. And not that I was rushing it with just anyone, but I had been single for like 6 months at the time. And I was just like, no, you're the one. Like you possess everything that I'm looking for. And I know you, I can trust you. I've known you for so long. I've seen you in relationships. I really thought I felt like I had done my due diligence watching this person grow and develop into the man that he presented himself to be once he came home. And I was just like, this is it. Like God blessed me with not only my best friend, but someone who I've always had a love for. And now I'm ready for it to go beyond just like the friendship zone. And it worked out. He had seen me through many relationships as well. And we really knew each other, like inside and out. We really, really got to form a solid friendship over the years. And I felt like this was the safest decision I could have ever been making for myself, for my future family. And I was excited. I was ready.
I love that.
Now I know after post incarceration, you say he came back a lot more disciplined, very disciplined man. Now, what was his mindset? Was his mindset more of that marriage mentality, or
Definitely.
Okay,
definitely. He was just like, it was always you. Like I always knew we would eventually, and I'm like, boy, you ain't know nothing. Cause I'm telling you, if you stayed on that path, it would have never been.
Right.
You came home a completely different man. And that's the only reason that we're in this position. So had he not made those changes, I was definitely unattracted to who he initially was, and seeing him evolve into the type of man that I look for. I felt so safe. In it. Yeah, definitely.
I want to talk about that because obviously we know it ended up getting to the point where you guys, didn't end up getting married. But before that, some of those good things, right, that had you really attracted to him at that point in time, what was that?
Oh man, he came home with a plan. He did. He came home with a plan. He had done a lot of, I don't know if it's considered like networking in prison, but he rubbed shoulders with a lot of solid people, and he just came home with a different mindset. He came home. It was one of the first times that, you know, somebody was able to teach me about myself, you know, doing all of the personal development and all the book reading he had did while he was locked up. I was so impressed. He came home telling me things about myself, you know, psychologically, you know, rehearsing things that he had read in books. And I was just like, wow, I didn't know I had that type of attachment, or I didn't know I was doing this, and that. So I was so attracted to that in him, to be able to teach me more about myself and be patient with me as I learned how to become a better woman in some of those ways. And just the plans that I knew he had for himself while he was locked up. You know, he came home with like blueprints and notes and notebooks. And I was just like, oh, we going to the freaking moon one way or another. You and I, like, you have the right mindset. You're disciplined. You're blocking out the noise. And he came home ready to get his life back on track. And I was very much attracted to that. That's so, the same.
I'm really blown away by this, because you in a 7-year relationship, you end up having children, but the show is for why you called off the wedding. So it never actually made it to marriage.
No.
Wow. Okay. So we gotta open that up.
So now it lets me want to understand now, where did things start to go left?
To be honest with you, I think it was the pressures of what comes with being home after being incarcerated. I think a lot of people have the best.
So good.
You know, they mean well. You know, they get locked up and they're forced to sit down and be disciplined and study and work out and work on their diet and just do all those things because you have nothing better to do. And then you come home and, you know, you get what
you're free.
You know, you get what and you just get a lot more attention. You feel like, okay, I have to live up to a certain standard. You know, before he went to prison, he was living very well. Had certain things, cars, nice place, you know, and you come home to the bare bones of nothing. And you're just like, how long is this going to last? You know? And I think people underestimate that process of getting acclimated back into society and the pressures that come along with that.
That's so real.
And so I think that, you know, for me, I was very business minded at the time. I knew that I was a celebrity makeup artist. So I wouldn't say I was in the full blown entrepreneurial realm yet. I was still, you know, working really, really hard to make ends meet for myself. And that hustle, that ambition that I had, he definitely had that as well. But being that he had no skill sets, like, not to say it in a negative way, but all he knew was the streets. That's the life that he had chosen up until he came home. And I didn't really think enough about that. You know, I didn't think enough about that. I just thought, you know, anybody can change, anybody can learn new things. But when you're 30 years old or whatever, maybe 26 at the time for him, it's like, if you don't have any skills outside of the streets, you can come home with all of these aspirations, but are you willing and humble enough, and are you willing to embrace that humility enough to go back and become a student and start at ground zero while your friends or the people, you know, you've always known from the streets are thriving and still out here flashy with it. And now here you are in a book or on a YouTube tutorial. That it's not cute. It's not sexy. It's not. You know, you got your friends blowing up your phone like, hey, bro, I got a lick. And you sitting here pausing a YouTube video where you're it's like, it's not everybody is built like that, you know? And I think that the temptation of life and the society and, you know, having desires to always be that male figure, that leader, you know, and you got with a very ambitious woman as well, who also aspires to have certain things for herself. And so I think just the stress of trying to do things the right way, but also maintain a level of leadership in the family just became very challenging. You know, I started my business primarily because I wanted to save my man from going back to prison is really what it boiled down to. I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. I feel like I was forced into entrepreneurship because there were no open doors for him.
Wow.
And
So that's interesting because I could see how that process of trying to pretty much change your life, figure out a new way to get money, figure out a new way to be a provider, change your values, all that's happening. And now this is causing friction on a relationship because he's probably frustrated about where his bag is right now.
Yeah.
He's probably, you know, maybe backsliding a little bit, dipping
Yep.
into it, and you like, no, I thought we weren't gonna do this.
100%.
So all of these things are starting to now bubble up and
Mhm.
starting to happen into the relationship.
Yeah.
What was that breaking point?
It really turned me into a nag. It turned me into something that I didn't want to be. And when you hear about all the reasons why men cheat and why men this and that, I became that person, but by force. Like, you forced me into that role of playing mommy instead of being your
Come on
girl
and
or your
preach then.
woman,
Right.
you know? And I never signed up for that. I was getting with my best friend who I thought we had equal values. I thought we understood that we were going to live a life with integrity. And even though we had done crazy things in the past, we were ready to turn a new leaf and embark on this journey, whether it was going to be a slow race to success or whatever. I was ready to build and take my time with it and be humble and not have the best of the best. I was willing to downgrade my lifestyle for my situation, you know? And yeah.
So what did the proposal eventually look like? Because did he, formally get on a knee? Did he like
did.
what? He got on a knee to ask
Mhm.
you for your hand in marriage.
Yes, it was 5 years into the relationship, and it was on my birthday.
Is it before kids or?
I had one at the
Okay.
time. I want to say, yep, and I had one at the time. I had my son shortly after that, and yeah, it was everything that I thought I wanted. But I will say that the proposal came at a time where it was rocky in our relationship, and I did feel like he was doing it to save the situation.
Wow.
Yeah,
It was a
'cause
strategy.
it was a strategy. It
Okay.
for sure was, in my opinion. I feel like he had turned me into
triggered.
a nag. He had turned me into a lot of the things that in my mind I was already like, if this is going to be forever, I'm not signing up to
Can't do
be
this, right?
that's not what this was supposed to be. I thought I was entering a partnership with someone who wanted the same things I wanted, not someone that was going to be constantly having to hold accountable and remind you of my boundaries and my triggers and the things that were non-negotiables for me that I laid out very specifically. It seems like, he made a choice, and it was to pursue some of the things that I was very front and center about being not for me. And so him making the choice to take on certain things after leaving the street life behind, the thing that rose to the top was gambling. And that was just a very strong non-negotiable for me from day one.
Wait, so all of these things built up
Yeah.
till pretty much a gambling issue.
It built up into a gambling vice. For me, it was definitely an issue. For
Gotcha.
him, he doesn't see it as an issue. So, for me, gambling is 100% an issue. Any type of vice that can get a hold of you stronger than I can get a hold of you,
Right.
it got you, and I can't do nothing with it. So,
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to get I'm trying to visualize kind of the situation.
Mhm.
So he gets on one knee. Is there family around?
we did. My mom came. My mom did come. He didn't invite anyone. He tried to do it very just me and him, which felt rushed and a little bit weird. For us to be best friends as long as we were, and for him to make me wait 5 years for a proposal, I was already like, what is going on here? Like, we know what this is, yeah, when it finally did happen, it felt like it was a lot of weird energy. And I didn't know it was coming, but his family wasn't present. My family almost wasn't present, but I think he told my mom last minute, and she's like, how the hell are you not inviting me and her sister?
Right.
Like, we're all she has. Like, how are you making this just y'all thing? And so I don't feel like a whole lot of thought really went into it. But I could be wrong. I don't want to say that. And I just say that to say, throughout the 5 years of waiting for that proposal, I asked many times, what's going on? Why is it taking 5 years? And it's just how I'm coming. How that was always the response. What it is with us. How I'm coming. I'm like, all right, it better be. And it was an amazing ring. I will say that.
Yes, it was. I saw it.
It was an amazing ring. I'll say that.
Beautiful.
Okay.
But I feel like a part of it was for, when you got a beautiful ring on a beautiful woman's finger, that gets a lot of attention. And
Wait, hold on. So you actually said yes?
Oh, I
point.
did say yes.
Okay.
I did say yes.
But you had some underlying.
I had some
apprehension.
reservations. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. At that point, I'm realizing that this gambling is a issue. I'm realizing that that he was willing to make some decisions without communicating with me as his partner. And I was realizing that, this has more of a control on him than I realized. And so I feel like he felt me withdrawing and he felt me in that energy. And then it was my birthday and it's just like, boom, let me just seal it in now. And it worked,
Okay. So you said yes, but it's fair to say that you were still unsure.
I definitely had my reservations. I was still under the mindset of like, this isn't, this can be, he can kick it. If I can introduce him to a better opportunity.
Right.
Right.
If I can make X amount of money and impress him enough to show him that it's brighter over here than what he got going on over there, I still felt like there was hope there. But he's a finesser. There was no hope there, but he was gone.
I'm curious for the ladies, how many women do you think actually tentatively accept the marriage proposals? Like they accept it, but it's really contingent upon a few things going right.
Okay, so we know 2 out of 3 marriages end in divorce, right? Well, 70% of those marriages are initiated by women. And I think the reason why that's happening is because we as women are taught from childbirth that we are supposed to get married and have a family, I've been engaged 2.5 times, and it's literally because my focus was marriage and a family, not alignment. Yeah, and I feel like if women were to be more particular and more specific on what made the most sense for them, on what made the most sense as far as feeling safe, feeling secure, feeling loved, feeling respected, feeling appreciated, all of those different things, relationships would look so different.
Yeah.
They would look so different. And I think as long as the agenda is pushed because it's almost like when you're not married and you don't have children, we're looked at as less than. We're not as valuable as humans because we haven't gotten married. How many times have you heard even couples that never plan on having children? First thing they ask is, when are you having babies?
Yeah.
Actually, we had no plan of having, well, why don't you want to have kids? Kids this, kids that. And I'm not saying, there's a right or a wrong way to do life, but it just goes to show the high level of indoctrination that we have into our own level of value is based on how other people view us as mother and as wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And first of all, I want to come to you, Sarah, next to figure out your situation.
Right, because they ask you.
Because they like 2.5 is crazy. But I really want to end on this here so we can get some clarity to the situation because you end up calling it off, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever get a date scheduled? Did you guys ever figure out when it was going to happen, or did it pretty much just fizzle out and a breakup pretty much took place after the engagement?
It was after the engagement. We got engaged during COVID, during 2020. And just due to the fact that our families were all over the United States and traveling wasn't just the best thing to do during that time. Or actually, I think it wasn't even a thing at that moment. It was just put on the back burner. I felt content that I got the level of commitment and verbal sacrifice, that we were on the same page and that this is what was going to happen. But I didn't feel super pressed to like pick a date, to be honest with you. There were a lot of things, like you said, contingencies that maybe I didn't vocalize, but I mean, the issues were there and I vocalized those, but I don't think I was clear, like, we're not getting married unless you give up this, and that. I didn't do that.
Wow.
I don't really like to tell people what to do. I like to see how people move on their own.
You know
what I'm saying?
Especially not no man.
Yeah.
Not no
You
man.
are the
A man.
leader.
Yes. So I was trying to do the right thing and knowing that I already had my daughter and, things like that. I was trying to let this man evolve into his own and find his own way without me sitting there like, nope, you can't do that. You can't do that. The only things that to get money, I'm going to sit there and like shun them all. I didn't want to be that person. So I was just trusting and believing that God would present a newer, better opportunity that would take him in a new direction and help him find his purpose and his true calling. Because as much as he tried to convince me that it was that, I'm like, baby, gambling is not your calling.
Right.
I don't care how many dope boys you're able to get out of prison because they were able to pay lawyers, this and that. Like, you're not, that purpose is not really in alignment with what it became one of the, like, you don't see it as worthy. You don't see it as good enough, but I'm helping people. I'm just like, it's gambling. I'm not with it.
I get it.
So I had to, make that tough decision when I realized that he had more of a love for that addiction than he did for me and our union and ultimately our family unit. But yeah, no date was set. And looking in hindsight, I'm very thankful that, God didn't put that, make that a huge priority for me because I always envisioned getting proposed and then, let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
Down the aisle we go. And there was something with this that I just wasn't pressed.
And just to confirm, was there any outside of the ring? Was there any other financial contribution that was made to the wedding?
Oh no,
Potential wedding.
nope.
Okay.
The ring itself, we lived together. We had our children.
Gotcha.
You know, our life was very much intertwined and preparing us to grow into a married couple. But no date, no money put towards a venue or anything like that. No.
And what should happen to the ring in this situation?
Give it
So-
back.
Because before you say what you did with it, I'm very curious what the ladies think. What should happen with the ring?
Well, so let me say this as a lawyer.
Mm.
So when there's a legal, right, there is a legal basis for this. So when you give somebody a ring, right, it is an anticipation of the marriage.
Mm.
So it is something that once the engagement is called off, a judge will order a ring to be returned
Makes sense.
if a person, wants their ring back, right? Because it's like a contract.
Wow.
I'm only doing this with the understanding that we are going to walk down the aisle and join our lives. So you will have to give the ring back. So it
Okay.
doesn't really matter what I think. I'm telling you what the judge is going to say.
I did not know that.
Interesting. I definitely didn't know that.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, just to kind of feel the temperature in the room, Ryan, let's actually drop a poll just to see how many people have actually had this experience in general.
This because men deny proposals too now.
It does happen. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit.
So guys, I'm gonna drop a poll. Have you ever denied a marriage proposal? This is a simple yes or no.
That poll is dropped. And while that poll is actually being answered, listen, we're gonna give y'all 5 minutes to go ahead and get that poll going. I want to go ahead and see and feel the temperature in the room here. Let's actually go over to Sarah. Okay, because you already got the room curious.
Yes, and send some super
Because-
chats too, by the way. Send some super chats because I want y'all. Because listen, guys, new rule on super chats. We was doing them all wrong.
Yes.
Send over your super chats. We will read your super chats live on air. So it's not a question specific, right? Just whatever your thoughts are. Send in your super chats. Anything over $10, guys. We are reading live on air.
We want to see and know your thoughts. So, Sarah,
Hi.
some people have never in their life been proposed to at all. And you have somehow figured out 2.5. First of all, let's go to half.
Yeah.
Let's throw this half. What the hell is a
start with
half?
Oh my goodness gracious.
Did he like halfway get on the knee? Like, did he stand up and do it? He just stood up and do it.
You want to get married?
Of course. I desire to be married.
I just want to make sure.
I do. I desire.
She's like,
no.
Okay.
I just wanna
Okay.
make sure.
I
2.5
desire
times.
to
I
be
mean,
married,
okay.
but the thing for me is if it's not aligned, I'm not interested.
Mhm.
And I just refuse to allow for society to make me, because being in a relationship is easy. Getting married is easy, but being with a person where you have the same focus, not even the same focus, the same passion and calling and morals and core values, like that's way different. Like alignment to me is so important.
Yeah.
And if I don't find my unicorn, baby, there's next life.
Mm.
Mm.
And I'm
No,
going to
that's
spend
right.
this one making it the best doggone life I could. And my life is so rich. I have incredible friendships. I have an amazing
love that.
family. Like I actually love my life.
Right.
So if it's not someone that's adding value,
Period.
I'm not interested. I don't
Amen.
have warm body syndrome where I need somebody to lay in the bed next to me at night. I don't
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah.
I like my own. I feel like I enjoy myself. I enjoy my tribe. I enjoy, all of the things. And so inside of that, if there's not a man that is aligned where I can recklessly trust his leadership over my life,
That's it.
recklessly respect this man, then I don't want it.
Mhm.
So just so we can get context, because I
Yeah.
want to get context high level over, just some of the situations that you've had, because
Yeah.
it's not even really just one story. Let's start with the half. What made you define or describe his proposal as a half proposal? Because that was what you stated.
Yeah. So we went ring shopping and he asked my dad for permission to marry me. So I feel like and he did it in front of me and my mother, which I thought was very strange in the sense where my dad's response, my dad's from Compton, just to be fair. Dad, if you're watching this, I love you so much. He's so straightforward. And he said, man, don't ever ask me this question in front of my daughter and my wife. If you
Right,
want to have this
right.
conversation.
Wait, he said all of that is happening in front of you.
Yes. And my mother.
Because it's inappropriate.
It's
Your dad is
inappropriate.
right.
Yeah, like why would you do that? And for me, just like a lot of the other things that happened
Wow.
in that relationship, I realized that this man would do things. It was breadcrumbing. He was breadcrumbing me to follow a lead that he doesn't actually have.
Mhm.
And so he would do things like, let's go ring shopping. Okay. He would do things like ask my dad for permission. He would do things like tell all of his friends, oh, this is my wife. This is my, all the nicknames. I don't want to give it away, but
he
anyway.
was really love bombing.
Oh,
for
he
real.
love
Love
bombed
bombing.
the hell out of me.
Insane.
And to be fair, I know that for me, where I went wrong inside of that relationship was I was in a space where I was in a rush to be married.
Yeah.
Because my dad was sick. We were on our second battle with cancer. And so inside of that, I knew that it was like, well, marriage and a family. I want my children to meet their grandfather.
Right.
I want my dad to walk me down the aisle. And because of that, which I figured out in therapy, because I was in such a rush, you don't make good choices
That's
when you're
right.
rushing. And so I made a bad rushed decision to choose a person that I knew. And I used to say it. All of my girlfriends could attest to this. I talked myself into that man.
Mm.
I talked myself in like, well, maybe. And he's not a bad person. We're just so out of alignment with one another.
Right.
And I'm sure that he feels the same exact way because we're so out of alignment with one another. And if I had looked at red flag number 1 before we even started dating, I never would have gotten that relationship to begin with. So I could
get
take
it.
responsibility for that.
Mhm.
I never should have been in that relationship. But honestly, most of my relationships, I never should have been in it. It's always been like whoever is most persistent wins.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, hold on, because that's a good
Right.
point. So obviously, he's 0.5. He probably, I would assume, had the least likelihood to actually make it to be a husband of the relationships or the proposals that you had experienced.
Mm-mm. While I was in it,
Yeah.
I was in it.
right.
You
While
couldn't
you're-
have told
yeah.
me.
So
nothing.
you actually thought that at that point in time he was qualified to be your husband.
I
At that point in time, in your life.
now
She was
I-
convincing herself. She said
I
it.
talked myself into it. Yes, there were so many times in that. You guys know when you get so mad, your neck gets hot. I don't know if you've ever experienced
That's the
the
dragon.
level
Right,
of the
right.
rage
That's the
that is
dragon.
coming from the core of your soul. I had so many.
I've never had that.
Oh my
You
I've
was
never had
on
that.
one.
I had so many of those moments like, how could this person? Yeah, where does this even make sense? And my mom always used to say, like, common sense isn't all that common, but like,
It's not.
this doesn't make sense to me. I can't even almost fathom how this makes sense to you. And so I had so many of those moments, but even still, my dad was sick. I wanted my dad to walk me down the aisle, period. And I don't want to cry because I'm a crier,
Mm.
but that is so important to me.
Yeah.
My family being on those important things in our lives, that's so important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so inside of that, I didn't care about the disrespect. I didn't
Mhm.
care about his lack in leadership. I overlooked everything and rationalized everything
Mm.
because me getting married was more important than me being happy.
The
And you
pinnacle of your existence.
did you continue to date him even after the failed proposal?
He
Or-
didn't propose.
Or I mean, I guess after he
Ask my dad.
asked you, yeah.
Yes.
Wow. How long did you continue to date him after?
5 months. It was a short relationship. Felt like 5 years. You want to know something?
That
else
was a
that's
5-month
crazy?
relationship?
No, the 7-month relationship.
Buddy was ready.
What?
He asked
So
my
he
dad
was
in
saying
a
no-
month and a
Oh.
half. He asked my dad to marry me.
Wow.
And so what? I'm just.
Was he
confused.
in there?
Hold on.
So do
Hold on, wait, hold on,
Yeah, I
real
got my
quick,
questions.
real
Right.
quick.
Go ahead.
No, real quick. Let's close out this poll real quick before we
Yeah.
actually get to it. Let's close out the poll real quick.
Real quick, shout out to Andre Hatchett, one of the all-star initiates. Shout out to my boy. Let's get 50 people to put $10 on it for the best show ever. Listen, Dre, I believe in you, man. Let's get it popping, and we got something to match that. And shout out to the initiates for 220 votes on this poll. Have you ever denied a marriage proposal?
Mm.
And 45% of people say yes.
Wow.
That's insane.
All right.
45.
I wasn't
Almost-
expecting that.
Almost 1,000 people in the room. So for 45, I mean, this is like
That's half the room.
this is
That's
like,
a
yeah,
lot.
this is like 400, 350, 400 people saying yes.
That's incredible. So this is a common occurrence
Damn.
that actually takes place.
That's
so
crazy.
that was a 7-month situation that you had.
A
that
month and a
ended-
half is crazy.
That was a speed bump.
You know
a
what, though?
month.
Well, let me just drop this right here. When I actually got married, I met my husband my ex-husband on March 30th. He proposed on May 30th, and we were married by October 14th. So it can happen. It can happen.
Wow.
It can happen.
Hold on,
Wow.
wait.
I'm divorced
That's-
though. I'm
Dang.
divorced.
Okay,
Just let me
okay.
drop that. Let me drop that.
Crash and burn. Crash and burn.
I didn't know if it's
2
true
months.
about men
2
knowing
months.
as soon as they know. Like, when does a man know?
I
Yeah.
think within 6 months, men know. And I
Mm.
also feel like I'm older, right? Like I for me, and this is another thing, okay? Love bombing.
Mm.
Who wouldn't want to love bomb me?
Mm.
It gets tricky. Like, how do you really know
Like,
you're being love
why-
bombed?
yeah,
This is
I
normal
didn't know I was
expectation. You're
being
just
love
showing
bombed.
interest.
Whoa,
You're
whoa,
just
whoa,
showing
whoa,
me.
I mean, but he was coming out with some of the stuff kind of early.
Nah,
I
that
mean,
was-
touche. Some like asking my dad permission in a month and a half. That's
It's crazy.
wild,
The
right?
ring shot, he was a narcissist. I mean, I even hate
Oh,
to call
come
it
on,
dude.
Ryan.
I-
Come on,
Sorry.
no, Ryan.
That's what my therapist
That's
said.
right.
We're gonna cut that one out. We did not say that.
It's early. It's early.
We did not say that.
Look, my therapist did say that. though.
But this dude sounds diabolical. Though. I will say that.
I mean,
I mean, to ask the parents to come to ring shop, and that is over the top at a month and a half in.
yeah,
Mm.
That's insane.
sounds like a very emotional guy.
Yes.
Probably. You know, and see again, I don't know much about this dude, but none of that seems very stable to me, because what you described to me, that you told me the timeline of that was 7 months, I did think it was 7 years.
Yeah, no.
Mm.
I did think that.
But what I will say is there are people that I know, and maybe they're the
Yes.
exception, not the rule. There are people that have gotten married at 3 months and they'll say, we've been married 25 years, right?
Yes.
So it can happen.
Yes.
But I think the key to it is, and Dr. Tyre always tells me this, he's like, Brittany, you have to set the pace in the relationship, because if you just go full force, it's all based off passion, it's all, electricity, then you can't trust that that's sustainable
Yeah.
long term.
True.
You have to set the pace and tell somebody, you know what? No, I can't see you tonight, but
Mm.
how about Sunday, right? So that way, over 3 or 4 months, you'll know if it's real, as opposed to y'all just with each other every single day for a month. That's not always real.
No, and listen, I like that. And to be honest, I really do think the brother should be setting the pace, if you ask me. But it needs to be a healthy pace nonetheless. But I want to ask this though, because as it relates to, you had other proposals that you ended up denying or called. So
I was
let's get.
proposed to. I denied. I called off the wedding for both.
So
All right.
you
Wait,
actually
wait.
got engaged,
Yes, twice.
and you called off the wedding for the other two.
Yes.
Now, how far along were the weddings before you called them off?
The first one, I was a kid, so we didn't really start planning. I was 18 until I was 20 years old.
Got you.
The second one, though, our wedding was May. Our wedding was in September.
So y'all had already started making some
I
kind of
had my
arrangements. and plans.
dress. We had our venue. We
Wow.
started with the get, but it was
So money was spent.
Oh, money was spent.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wow.
money was spent. But I'm grateful for that too. Like I said, I in my past, and I'm not doing this anymore. Now I'm powerfully choosing my partner. I'm no longer allowing whoever to choose me.
Good.
And I think that one of the things that I realize is that, because now that I know that it's not the person that's the most persistent, it's the person that's the most in alignment, that has changed everything for me. So even the time where I was an adult, that person, I never liked that person. That person tried to date me for 7 years and I never liked that person. But leave it to me. The one time I go home, I'm hanging out, me and my mom, we're sitting in the living room watching the birds. My mom loves to watch the birds and everyone loves my mom. So we all sit there and watch the birds sitting by the window. And he had called me and I was like, oh, it's this guy calling me. She's like, answer it. And I'm like, oh no. She's like, answer it. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I answer my phone and he starts talking to my mother and he is a schmoozer, like through and through, knows how to say all the right things. And I should also say, this is when I was like just really starting to catch my footing inside of entrepreneurship. And my mom, bless her heart, who is my biggest superhero. I look up to her more than anyone else on this planet because she's been through everything. That's the one. My mom hated that I was an entrepreneur at first because she didn't trust it. She was like, there's no safety here, right? She wanted me to be with someone that was in corporate because that's safe, as we all
That's
know.
the generation.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
safety doesn't even exist anywhere,
Yeah.
whether you're an entrepreneur or in corporate, right? But what happened is when she got off the phone, in the conversation, he said, I'm a director of sales. And what my mom heard was safety. You know, my mom heard corporate. My mom heard this is stability,
Right.
You know, like a lot of our parents, this is stability, that we only want our children to have stability.
Right.
And
Your mom was kind of thirsty.
no, she wasn't thirsty because
No, I'm saying for you to have a good man, right? That's, I mean,
yeah, she was.
so she's
she
seen
wanted
this
to
as-
marry
Every
me
mom wants
off.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wanted to marry me
She's
off.
like, go Sarah, go.
And I'm the
Right,
only
exactly,
one
yeah.
out of all 8 of my parents' children. I'm the only one that doesn't have kids yet. You know, so it's like it's this thing. And I come from a very small town in Saskatchewan, Canada. You know, so it is very much a different mindset. And so when my mom thought that, what came out of her mouth was, I like him.
Mm-hmm.
My parents don't like anyone, especially not for me.
Mm-hmm.
So then I went into, this is my mom, my superhero.
Yeah.
Do I like him? So when I got back to Los Angeles, I was like, okay, let's hang out. Let's see how
Mhm.
this goes. And he's a schmoozer. I fell for all of the things, but it was a constant competition. I didn't respect him. There were so many things that happened. We never should have gotten
Hold on.
into a
That
relationship.
was kind of heavy.
God, that R word.
The fact-
That R word.
The fact that you
Yeah.
did not respect
Yeah,
him
that's
That's not
huge.
good.
was very heavy.
No.
What caused you? Is there an event you can think back to in particular where the respect just cut off?
He was
There's
like, I'm done.
several. There's several, and this is the thing. I think women leave mentally before they leave physically,
Right.
Correct.
and so inside of that, it's like I tally all of the things. I'm tallying up everything. Like I'm just watching, observing, because at the end of the day, I want to know, can I trust your lead over my life? There was one time I went to this man, and I've told this story before. We went to Best Buy. And at remember those rooms back in the day at Best Buy where they were like $10,000, $7,000, $20,000 TVs, like
Yeah.
those special rooms.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We went to the special room when we're looking at TVs, and the girl that works there comes up and she's like, do you guys need any help finding anything? And I'm like, oh no, we're just looking around. And she was like, yeah, because nobody's going to buy a $7,000 TV. And I'm like, yeah, girl, because I definitely would even right now, I would not spend $7,000 on a TV.
Right,
Yeah, I
right.
just don't see the value in it because I don't watch TV like that. But anyway, what my fiance at the time heard was, you can't afford a $7,000 TV. And for whatever reason, he said, well, what kind of car do you drive? And I'm like, now immediately I'm like, what is happening? And she said something normal, like a Camry or a whatever. And then he pulls out the car key and he's like, well, some people have Camry kind of taste and other people have this kind of taste.
Oh no, he hit it with a
Damn.
straight flex.
When I tell you,
Shots fired.
I wanted
Oh.
to disappear.
Yeah.
Like if I could have
Wow.
melted.
Very condescending.
Oh, I was so embarrassed and humiliated, and I was
Yeah.
hurting for that girl because she didn't deserve.
Right.
It was things like that where I'm like, this is a character flaw.
Wow.
And so there were a lot of little things where it's like, you know, I don't necessarily believe in being humble because that means think less of you than who you are. I don't
Not
believe
timid,
in that.
not
Yeah.
kind of humility.
Yes, but
Right.
I do believe in treating people kindly.
Yes.
Always.
Absolutely.
And I just feel like he had this air
Arrogance.
where he was above everyone. And it was like, Negro, where and why?
Yeah.
You know,
Mm,
just no. So, yes, there were things that eroded my respect. And over time, it was like, I cannot be with you. I
Mhm.
will not, and I cannot.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So was it the family pressure that kind of kept you at least considering it moving forward?
No, it's been me.
Wow.
I convinced
Wow.
myself. Nobody lies to themselves more than we do.
Damn.
I'm so glad you just dropped that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right there.
So that's just so crazy to me. So both of the situations, all of the situations, even though you knew in your core that this was not the move, you just in desperation just really wanted to make it work.
I think I subscribed to the story that I needed to be married and have a family. That's it. That's most women just want to
Yeah.
be married and have a family. And then it's like you think that getting to the marriage is the finish line. No, getting to the marriage is the starting line.
That's where it all
That's where it
starts.
starts. And so
Yeah.
if you are grown up your entire life thinking that big, beautiful day when you get to walk down the aisle and everybody, and it's even harder. I mean, Chelsea was a public relationship. That relationship was public. Also, that's another thing. We trap ourselves in boxes. I was every hashtag, relationship goals, Black love, power couple, every freaking hashtag. But in reality, it was super toxic.
Mhm.
In reality, that man told me one time, Sarah, you'll never make it. The only way you'd make it is if you married someone who made it.
Mm.
That's what he told you.
That's what he told me, dead to my face.
Wow.
And it wasn't the betrayal or the deceit or the any of those things. It was, oh, our visions are different. I can't choose you, and I won't choose you.
Yeah.
And I called it off.
Wow, listen.
How many months before?
May, June, July, August, September, 4 months.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay, and what about the this is my last question before I read the super chat real quick. What about the financial investment? Did y'all split that, or was he responsible for it? Like when you called it off, who got left carrying the bag?
I feel like it was more so he ended up taking more of a hit than I did, for sure.
As he should.
Yeah, he
And
definitely.
What?
He said,
As he
he
should.
Is that
should.
right? Okay, is that
Wow.
proper, Chelsea? Is that proper? So the guy should pretty much be responsible, even though.
I thought it was the
I-
bride's father. Wasn't it the bride's
Listen,
father?
You know, we pick what parts of tradition.
I mean,
we-
I think
right.
so.
Right.
Because he's spending money, he's
Right.
advancing.
Mhm.
Now, keep in mind, Sarah, it's not like she didn't already have these thoughts of apprehension. So the whole time she's not communicating this, he's spending money. Is he still 100% responsible for the finance?
I think I was communicating. Like there were times before the wedding where I was like, I don't know. There was a time we got into a fight and I was like, I'm not wearing my ring to go see your family. I don't even feel like we should be engaged. Like there, and he's like, you have, and there was one time I left it on the bedstand. Like, I don't feel like we should be engaged. And he's like, and he brought it with him.
Yeah.
He pulled it out of his pocket. Like everything was a show.
That ego.
We had
That's
to put
what I
on a
said about
show.
the ring. I'm like, you got me
Wow.
this big ass ring
Big-ass
because you want
ring.
the attention that comes with it.
Yes.
Oh, who's your man? I used to get that at least once a day. Go shopping, go to gas.
Girl,
Girl, your
yes.
man loves you. I'm like, why can't it be because he knew what he was doing with that big
Yeah.
ass ring?
Wow.
Yes,
How you
girl.
get a big ass ring like that and then don't even properly set up your relationship to
Yes.
make it down the aisle?
Right.
My mom used to say when I travel, like flip the diamond on the inside so people don't see
Judge
the
you.
diamond.
Yeah.
Because when you fly, you know what I mean? When you go on
Right.
planes and you're right there in faces, she'd always say like flip your ring inside out so people can't see.
Mm.
You know, it was a thing. It was a big thing.
Yeah.
So
Incredible.
check this out. Let's actually read super chats in the next 5 minutes in a minute. Let's listen. We got 5. Yeah, send your super chats in. I want to know your thoughts on this conversation. If y'all have anything, we're gonna read them right here on air. So go ahead and get those in. So we
Sarah-
can go ahead and take a look at that. But
They eating me alive right
Sarah's
now?
off the chat. No, you just in general. I'm just blown away
In
by
general, you're off the
My
chain.
honesty.
by some of these things. I mean, the honesty and just the experiences, because I don't think, because obviously I'm not a woman.
Mhm.
So I can never imagine the societal pressure and family pressure that comes along with, wanting you guys to move forward and have a family. Yeah, I mean, my mom mentions things, but it's kind of like
Right.
whenever
No
you get
pressure
around
for
to
me.
it,
Zero.
you get around to it.
If you get married at 45, 50,
They don't
you could
care.
still pull a 25, 30. You're
Right.
doing all right. You know,
Mhm.
we get to 35 and we're geriatric pregnancies,
Seriously.
so it's just a completely different ball game.
Wow.
I want to ask.
Sad.
I want to ask you, Brittany, because you've been sitting over there, sipping on your coffee, your espresso. So I hope the espresso kicked in.
Yes,
Because now I need to figure out what's going on over there with you, because you gave us a little glimpse into a marriage that you got into in 2
Right.
months. But I'm assuming y'all got married. That's not who we're talking about
that's
tonight.
not who we're talking about.
Because you called off a wedding. Just for clarity, did you actually
I
say no to a
rejected
proposal?
I did not call off a wedding.
You rejected a
Mm.
proposal.
Correct.
What did that
Or
look
he was
like?
on a proposal, was the person was on one knee.
He wasn't on one knee.
Okay.
What he did is Christmas morning told me he wanted to marry me. And then shortly after that took me to Tiffany's to pick out a ring. But I couldn't allow him to buy the ring because I knew I didn't want to marry him.
Oh,
That's interesting.
it's like a scary movie because
It definitely was.
Definitely.
and
a scary movie.
you going
Definitely.
he's excited.
Yeah.
You jump in the car, you
Child,
driving.
don't nobody care about
You
his
know, he-
excitement.
once they stroll up to Tiffany's, I'm sure first thing he do look at the sign, then look at your face, right? And he goes in there, and what are you doing when he's looking around, when he's perusing around for the ring?
You got
Like,
an attitude.
Well, you know what? Kind of a little bit. At that point, it's a long story, but at that point, I was already kind of in and out, right?
Mhm.
Like I wasn't there already mentally. And he knew that I was struggling because I had shared that with him. I'm a very direct person. And so when we went to the store, the person, he didn't do right for so long that by the time he's doing this, I don't even really want it. So what's flashing in my mind is the new person that I have already met, and I'm ready to go because
Hold
that's what I said.
Okay, so
that's what
Wow.
I said.
so hold on.
Wait. So you were
I wasn't ready.
effectively. So pretty much. Hold on. Damn,
So see, here's what we didn't know. There was actually
Another one.
right.
right. So
Insane.
nobody knew about that.
Yeah. So okay, so you seriously dating this guy, you know he's got intentions of marrying you, and somebody else comes along and you dating that person as well.
No.
Okay.
No, I gotta tell. Let me tell the story.
Okay,
All right.
good. Let us know.
So I'm mid 20s. I'm like 23 when I meet this dude.
The new one.
No, the guy
That you're dating, yeah.
right? The guy that we're talking about. So he's 21 years older than me. All right. So we meet.
Wow.
Right. I know.
So
I know.
he's
44.
I'm here for
44.
it. Okay, I'm here for it.
My mother was always like, you're a very mature person, so you need to date somebody older, right? And like Sarah said, a mother always wants her daughter to be with somebody secure.
Yes.
So
Right.
this was a very successful man. He was a doctor with 3 practices, right? He did very well. And so a month in, we're in love, right? The quick thing. And then, he's like, move in with me. So I moved in with him. Cool. Then he's like, you don't have to work. So I didn't work. And he gave me a biweekly allowance. He, exposed me to a lot of the, I guess the finer things in life that at 23 I just hadn't seen, right? So we got, we've got, it's just, seasons ticket to the orchestra and the symphony and the ballet and
He was loaded.
Oh, he put you on.
Yeah. So
Season
I'm
tickets to
learning
the
about, I'm going to art galleries and buying art with him and, going to jazz clubs, right?
Oh,
And
he's supposed to get the new parts of
He
life.
laid it on
Right.
deep. Sounds
Yeah.
so I'm like all in. Well, not far into the relationship, it started being, I'm the one washing the clothes, right? Because I don't work. So I'm the one washing the clothes and you going out
Right.
with a group of doctors. But when I go into your pocket to clean them out before I put them in there, I'm finding a receipt, right? And it is 2 meals and 2 glasses of wine. So I don't know what group you went out with, but right. So I'm starting to
Wow.
see the infidelity. Yep. There started being very condescending rhetoric, right? And stuff like, you're never going to make it or you don't have high ambitions, things of that nature. But I'm a kid, right? So I don't know what I want to do with my life at this point.
You're
But
trying to
he's-
figure some stuff out.
Right. But he is, making sure that I know that I'm not as good as him.
Mm.
So, like a lot of young girls who just want to be married, I spent so much time really begging him to become the person that he showed me in the beginning.
Mm.
Why are you treating me this way? Can you just go back to what we used to be? I love you. Like, why are you doing this to me? Eventually it crumbled. But over that next year, we just, we kind of dealt back and forth, but still over that year, it was still me begging, right? It was still me saying, please love me. Please love me. We don't want to be alone. And I thought I was losing something. He had so conditioned me to think that he was, the prize in the
Right.
situation. And I didn't know myself. So I'm just going along with it. So finally I meet this other guy. And then what do guys do when they're narcissistic or when they really are lovers of self, right? They pull you back in. So now you see me moving on. I'm not answering your calls the way I used to. So now you're like, come back.
Well, hold on, wait. So did y'all break up officially?
We
were y'all
broke up. I moved out. And for that next year, it was just sporadically when he wanted to see me.
Gotcha.
So you
right.
were still dealing with him
I was
even
still
after y'all
dealing with
broke
him.
up.
Yeah, I was goofy. I was a kid. I didn't
Yeah.
know nothing.
Okay.
Right. So, right. Knock out to myself.
Well, go ahead.
He was rich too.
Right. So
Cut it out.
I mean, no. We
That's
got
hard. No,
surprised
rich is
what it
rich
does.
that's
matters.
part of the allure.
That's
Yes.
stability.
Absolutely.
yes,
We just feel like we're never going to
absolutely.
find it again.
Absolutely.
This is the
Because
best.
it was my first time having it.
Girl, you-
right.
At 23, that's
I was going to
remarkable.
say, you were young, girl. I would have.
Yeah.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So he pulls me back in. I say, hey, listen, you have almost sent me into a nervous breakdown, right? I can't do this with you if you're not going to be serious. So he says, I'm going to be serious. So we spend New Year's Eve in a hotel in the St. Regis with his daughter. We have a little family night. I'm thinking we're back on the road. We're going to do it. A few days later, we're supposed to go to dinner. I call him. He don't answer the phone. I go to the club. Kenny Burns, I don't know if you remember this night, but I was at the club with you. We was just all kicking it. We were having a good time drinking, but I had a little bit too much. So at this point, I just wanted to see, right? Like I wanted to go by the house. So I go by the house. It's 3:00 in the morning. There's a beetle, right? And you are
Like the car.
Oh
Stop.
You
no.
You already know because a Volkswagen Beetle. You know what I'm saying?
He got another young joint over there.
Right. That's a woman's car, right?
A young college
Right.
collegiate.
Right. So
Right.
She's figuring herself out in life right now.
That's
Got him a
child.
young scholar.
Child
Oh my
business.
God. Young scholar.
So not quite. I won't even tell you. We're not even gonna go there.
Oh no.
But what I will say
Oh.
is that night, right? You know, I almost lost it, right? Because you love a person, right? You are really stressed out in this moment. You see this car, your heart starts beating.
Did your
You're
neck-
kind of
did your neck get hot?
The neck,
When the
thing,
neck
yes,
hot,
yes,
That's when you
yes.
know. I'm telling you.
And so I am like banging on the door, and it just turned into a huge argument issue, right? And it was days later, right? I'm at my wit's end. It's days later, and he's like, basically, me arguing with him and kind of going off that night. He's like, I didn't realize you love me so much. Now I really want to be with you. So I'm like, oh, he toxic. This is toxic. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know the word for it at the time, but I knew something wasn't right about it, right? So I go dealing with him for, another year.
Mm.
By the end of that year on Christmas Day, I wake up. Now, mind you, we're in and out. So I've met this other guy, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what's going to happen. with him.
one.
That's right. Another one.
Okay.
So I've met this second guy. So on Christmas morning, I wake up, he's got all these bags on the bed and the shoes and the perfume. There was a Benz truck outside that he had gotten me.
Mm.
And he told me that day that he wanted to marry me.
Wow.
So a couple days later, that's when we went to Phipps and we went to Tiffany's, right? And he's telling me, tell me what ring you want. And I'm like, oh, this one's nice. But I'm knowing in my mind, I don't want to be with him. I've kind of already started to move on at this point.
Wait, so he never actually asked. He
No.
just stated.
No, well, I mean, yes, he stated, but I'll continue with the story. And so I'll let you know he was serious, right? So we're at the store, I'm telling him I need to think about what ring that I want, but I'm knowing that I don't want to be with him.
Mm.
I eventually, a few days later, I broke up with him. I told him I can't do it. I started moving forward with the other guy.
Did you keep the truck?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I kept the bags and the shoes though.
I know that's right.
right. But at the end of the day, at this point now, and this is like a Tina Turner, this is like an Ike and Tina situation, because you remember the scene in What's Love Got to Do with It where Ike calls Tina's mom. She's like, where is she? And she gives up her location.
Mhm.
He spent the next 2 years financially wooing my mother and my stepfather, flying them to Atlanta. I'm living in Japan with another man, this guy. I'm living in Japan with this other guy at this point. My mom's like, get on the plane, go get her, bring her. But my mother wants me to be with this man.
Wow.
So he's like spending time with my grandparents, like everything,
He's
right?
finessing
Wow.
every- So is it now? Was he just that smooth of a guy, or was the finances just that attractive to even your family at that time?
Well, I think again, you know what I mean? My mother, she does decent, they do decent for themselves, but they don't have that kind of money, right?
Yeah.
And so he put, $20,000 free dental work in her mouth. He's showing her,
Mama.
taking her around, doing things for her. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Showing my mom and my stepdad things they've just never seen, right? And so
Oh, he was in a whole relationship with your mama, Loki.
Well, he was
He tried.
courting the whole
He was-
family.
He was.
Wow.
It was a finesse.
absolutely. So it just got to a place where I'm like, still to this day. Now, mind you, that breakup was in 2013. When he's not blocked, he's still reaching out to this day, asking me if I'll be with him.
That
Wow.
man crazy.
And,
Oh.
and you, if you were to say yes, do you think he would finally, do right, or is it all just a game?
Because now I'm in my prime
Mm.
and he's 59.
Oh,
Right?
man.
He doesn't have a partner, but he don't have a partner because you have money, but you have no character.
Oh, say that.
That character.
Damn.
Ooh.
Yo, let's actually read the super chats real quick because
Yeah.
the people over here, they taking care of us. Let's go ahead.
Yo,
and read them
shout out to Simply and Zinga dropping the 5 memberships. We appreciate that. Shout out
Much
to
love.
Keita Geek. It's one thing for a man to know and another thing to act on it so quickly. Doing things at lightning speed are red flags for me. Shout out to Keita Geek. I agree with that one.
I agree.
Shout out to Nzinga again. And shout out to Andre Hatchett. Can we ask the ladies 5 things ladies do when they just not when they just aren't that into a man. So maybe, you know, I like that one. Maybe not 5 things, but just what's a one thing for each of you ladies that women do when they're really not that into a dude?
You don't get energy.
Well, you do the same thing dudes do, which is act like you're busy all the time.
Right.
Mm.
You don't get energy.
Yeah.
Wow.
You get bad energy. You don't get no time.
Yeah, I'm entertaining other people. If I'm not into you, I'm entertaining somebody else.
Incredible.
Wow.
Listen, 1,300 people in the chat too, by the way. I'm actually about to turn this thing on for members only. So shout out to all the wonderful initiates.
Yes.
Of course, if you want to stay in the chat, just make sure you click the link in the description and join our channel membership. But ladies, I wanted to ask y'all too, because you talked about kind of you do the same thing that men do when you're not interested in somebody, right? But y'all were communicating in so many ways that you weren't actually interested in moving forward with the engagement or the marriage. Like, my question is, what were the responses from the dudes? Like, did they just flat out ignore it? Like, what? I just can't imagine being in a position where a woman is taking off her ring, for example, and saying, I don't want to wear it. And then me thinking that everything is okay. So what was the reaction from the men when you guys were pretty much communicating in so many ways to put on the brakes?
My ex went through different phases of it. I think at certain points it was very much like, okay, I'm going to do better. I'm going to work on this. Tell me what it is you need me to fix, and I'm going to make changes. You know, they say exactly what they need to say to keep you there. You know,
Agreed.
Whole time they don't even have any like
Intention of
changing at all. It's just buying more time, taking up more of our good years. And I think
Ooh.
that's where the resentment came from for me. It's just like, wow, my trust in you, my love for you had me giving you time that I couldn't even afford to really give you.
Yeah.
And when you look back, you're like, you took 7 years and gave me 2 kids.
Wow.
And it's a huge pill to swallow, because, you know, I didn't look at being a single mother like this until I became a single mother. And you realize, like, damn, there's a lot of women out here that are single by choice. And, you know, we felt forced and obligated to walk away because we knew better was out there for ourselves and our children, you know, ultimately. And so, yeah, that turned into becoming like more of a pest and a nag, and eventually becoming very dismissive. So all of the, okay, I'll do better. Once it's like the truth started to rise to the top. And once he started to see that I knew you're not even capable of becoming the man that I need you to be to keep me here, then he kind of just relinquished it, and it just became more dismissive, more just, you know.
So let's do this, because
too.
I actually want to get the family involved in the conversation. All right.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do, y'all, is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pop off the initiation hotline.
Please.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put that link in the description in the chat here, guys. Y'all gonna see in the description, it's gonna be a link you can click, put your name in, you'll go backstage, and we will let you up one at a time. So be patient, all right, as we go ahead and let the family come back there and we guys bring you up. I want to talk to some people, since supposedly almost half the room, by the way, we got about 1,500 people in the room right now. Supposedly, somewhere about half the room has turned down marriage proposals.
Listen, I just realized I never closed that poll. Have you ever denied a marriage proposal? 43% of people say yes. And this is the thing, though.
What's that?
575 votes on that poll.
Wow.
Yeah.
So listen, if you've turned down a marriage proposal, whether you're a brother, whether you're a sister, I want you to come up here.
Jesus,
I want you to come up in that chat. All right. Or called off the wedding, because the fellas might have called off the wedding too.
That's true.
You might have proposed. You know, you remember what Umar said? You find out y'all might have lived together, find out she don't wash her ass. Remember what he said on the show?
My Lord.
I don't know what you know, but I want you to come up here and tell us about it. So click that link, and I want to go ahead and get the family in the conversation, because we want to hear this. But as we go into it, go ahead, Ryan. What you got?
Well, shout out to Janelle. 7 months, remember?
Wow.
That's like, she has to be like the first one to ever hit 7 months. But she said,
incredible.
Understanding now what your mom did then, what steps did you take to heal? And if you have children, do you find that you're overprotective of them? I'm trying to figure out who is that question for?
That got it. I'm assuming that's for Sarah. Yeah, that's for Sarah.
So go ahead and answer that question. So understanding what your mom did then, I'm assuming, putting a little bit of pressure on you to get marriage. How did you, do you get upset with your mom about that? Like, how does that work? Because the pressure is coming from your family.
Yeah.
So they really only want the best for you. But how do you respond when it's just overwhelming?
I think what's most important is for you to understand that, like you said, Ryan, literally our friends and our family members ultimately want what's best for us, you know, and sometimes the people that love you the most, they don't know how to support you the best. They want what they want because they only know what they know. And so for me, I personally have done, I do therapy. I'm still in therapy, not because I feel like I'm crumbling and falling apart, but because we don't know what we don't know. And it's only when someone else from the outside looking in can say, hey, Sarah, this might be a blind spot for you. Oh, okay, great. I think that you're right about that. And then I can take it on and heal. So the ways that I personally go about healing is I absolutely believe in therapy. I absolutely believe in meditation and manifesting. I absolutely believe in getting into peak state. I absolutely believe in having my energy in a way where I'm only, for the most part, attracting good experiences and good people into my life. And yeah, I took a couple bumps and bruises along the way. But I think that it's most important is that inside of that healing, you've got to figure out like, who is it that you want to be?
Yeah.
Because we're all so indoctrinated into like, what do you do? What's your title? What's your achievement? What are your accolades? None of that matters if you don't like the person you see in the mirror.
That is correct.
So when you take the time to get crystal clear, oh, okay, what do I like? And then all of the relationships that I've been in, although they didn't end in my happy ending yet, I haven't gotten to my happy ending yet. And by the way, happy ending does not mean that it's perfect. It just means it's in alignment. So that too will take bumps and bruises. But even though I haven't gotten to that, in every relationship I've been in, it's given me beautiful glimpses of who I get to be inside of my marriage. You know, when I can look at it like, oh, you know, is it true that in one of my relationships, I dove in head first with reckless trust and reckless respect and reckless belief in what he was showing me? Yes. But I desire to be that way with my husband.
Exactly.
What a beautiful opportunity for me when I'm with the right person. And so for me, I'm not going to become jaded. I'm not going to throw away love. I'm not going to say, no, this isn't for me. No, this is absolutely for me. I just get to have the right person. So that's what my healing looks like. I'm going to continue to be my best me. I'm going to stay in the best shape that I possibly can be in. I'm going to continue to drink a lot of water. I'm going to continue to make sure that I'm open. You know, there's no right way to do anything. There's just the most aligned way. And so as I continue to learn me, I'm just going to continue growing into that version that's going to attract that level of person. And I might currently be dating him.
And
Okay.
let's
Wait, real quick,
Go
because
ahead.
Chelsea, because after you hear that from Sarah, right? Because it's all types of familial pressure. And I'm just curious, you had a different type of familiar pressure because you got children, right? So they put, even if they don't communicate to you, I'm sure it's pressure in potentially leaving this relationship, and you got kids with this man, right? So how did you specifically handle that, or was it very similar to what Sarah's saying?
It is very similar to Sarah. My babies are small, they're young. And, you know, one thing I will say, my kid's father was an amazing hands-on father from the day I had emergency C-sections. He saw both my kids before I even saw my kids. Like, he's bonded with my children. And so making that decision to walk away from the engagement and the bond and the union that we had, it ripped me apart, like more so because of my kids, because I know they didn't see it coming. There was never, in 7 years, we didn't go a day not being together, sleeping together. And since the day I had my children, we were all of us inseparable. So I knew that they weren't going to understand that absence, and they weren't going to understand the shift at all. And honestly, it's been a year. December was officially a year that I've been single, and not a day goes by that my babies don't cry for their dad. Like, it's devastating. But yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was so fresh.
No, right.
That's recent.
And when you say they still cry for their dad, is it because he's not able to see him as often now since the breakup happened?
You know, we all have choices that we make. And I think his dedication to fatherhood and family came more with the infrastructure of the whole dynamic.
Right.
I think once it kind of shifted, and you just get to really see people for who they are, and you get to really see what priorities matter most to people when things aren't so convenient, you know, when you're not under one roof, and you got to factor in your responsibilities when it may or may not be convenient to do so. And so, you know, definitely not, you know, we both still reside in the same city, but my kids don't get to see their dad as often as they would like at all. And hopefully those decisions change soon, and hopefully, priorities change, things like that. It's kind of hard to imagine someone who is such a dedicated and hands-on father who is so active and there from day one, just choosing to,
Take a step back.
choosing to take a step back, because nothing could keep me from my kids.
Come on.
Nothing. Like in a million years, I couldn't imagine, like, I don't care how far I have to go, how far I have to drive. Like, I couldn't imagine not being with my kids or seeing them, especially living in the same state. Like, so that's been a really hard pill to swallow. And it's devastating trying to make sense of it to my children, who I got a 3 and a 5-year-old. And every day, just last night, she's like, "Mommy, but why can't Daddy live here? I miss my daddy.
Wow.
Where's my daddy? Where?" She
Yeah.
gets she's serious with it, and she wants answers. And I just have to remind her, I'm like, "Baby, like, not every I don't even know how to deal with
How to
these
answer that
things.
question.
I didn't ever in a million years think that this would be my reality, ever. I thought I was in the safest relationship with someone who was willing to fight for, like you said, even your person. It's not going to come without any friction. Just because you're in alignment or you're in love and whatever doesn't mean it's going to be smooth sailing all the time. So as women, we ride for our men.
Yeah.
We nurture it. We don't want to just, give up. So you ride until the wheels fall off, and you realize, like, damn, you were never going to rise to the occasion. You were never going to truly meet me halfway, and you forced me to walk away empty-handed.
Yeah.
So you think,
So you know
but
what?
I would say it's a blessing.
It is.
It
It's
is.
definitely a
You
blessing.
may not even see it yet, but it's a blessing.
It is.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that too, because for the people that just came into the room, I'm gonna catch you guys up, because these ladies have already broke down in detail why they went ahead and called off their weddings, why they said no to the ring. Chelsea here broke down pretty much it was due to, if I can sum it up, gambling addiction or addiction in general,
A culmination
of things. But that ultimately was one of the things that pretty much, the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. Brittany, you had the situation that happened was a bit of some controlling, would you say, going on?
Infidelity.
I wouldn't say controlling, because he never really cared. When I wanted to do something, it would be like, I don't want to do that because I've already done it, but here's some money, you and your friends go do it. He never controlled me. He never controlled me. He just belittled me so that I controlled myself. If that makes, I was almost like belittled to be a slave to thinking that he was better than me.
You keep yourself in line.
Yeah.
I get it. And in some ways, I think you experienced some of that as well with the experience, Sarah, that you have broke down to us with. It was a bit of this kind of trying to, I guess, mentally, it was like a mental beatdown almost of trying to position you in this way. And, all of you guys broke that down about those past relationships, but I don't know if you have a different experience in your past relationships when we dip into it. I know me personally, quick story. Before I started seriously dating, or while I was transitioning into it, there was a point where I had to kind of have these little cutoff conversations with young ladies that could have been threats to anything for real. There was one young lady in particular. I had a conversation with her, and I told her, I'm gonna just have to cut this off because it's not anything I want to build towards. I'm working on something else right now. That's not what I'm about to work towards. And
I appreciate honesty.
Shockingly enough, we wasn't that consistent or anything like that. I just had to make it be known and plain so she don't do nothing disrespectful.
Right.
But in general,
Cover
she
all your
had
bases.
to. I had to. So to my surprise, she started crying.
Aww.
And then she literally said, "Yo, you're going to be one of my biggest regrets to not know what this relationship could have been." And I was so shocked to hear that. Y'all do it. Right? But I was so shocked to hear that because I didn't know that was her perspective, because we wasn't even really that consistent or anything. But
people
in
sometimes
general,
create in their minds
they
situations.
right.
Yes.
So I want to ask y'all, were there any brothers in the past that you feel like, damn, he could have been one? I kind of missed out on this one. I regret letting that one go.
Definitely.
Not a one.
I think so.
Yeah, I think that there was definitely a person in my past that I didn't let them go. They let me go, right? And
Damn.
Right. It was a damn, because we was definitely in love on a Thursday, and on Sunday he broke up with me. But what it ended up being was, we, like you and your ex, were best friends. And then we crossed over into that space of dating. But I think now that I wasn't just a best friend anymore, he couldn't tell me the stuff he used to tell me.
Mm.
So he didn't tell me that he was dating somebody else at the same time.
Wow.
So what he ended up doing was he told me in the end, he said, you know, I have daughters. I have to make decisions that I think are best for them. And I think he thought I was going places and he wanted somebody to be there and to help him raise his children. And he didn't think that was going to be me for whatever reason, right? There was some special needs and things like that. And he just didn't, I said, so you don't think I'm capable? He said, no, it's trajectory, right? And so at the end of the day, he ended up breaking up with me and he's with this woman and, you know, he thinks that she's more suitable. And it really hurt because to lose your you're double grieving. To lose your best friend and somebody who makes you feel electric, that you haven't felt this way in a long time, right? That is it was a great loss, but I felt like it might have been a loss in the beginning. Now I realize that had I have stayed in that place, I would have become very regular. And I'm not meant to be regular.
Come on.
God did not create me for that. And so the message as I was in prayer one night after that breakup, because my chest was hurting for a month and a half after that breakup. I cried. I was in my office sobbing every day, like I miss my best friend. Right. And so in prayer, I heard God say, I didn't create you to be regular, so don't traffic there.
Oh.
And that's it. And so now I'm like, God bless them. I said a prayer for him, the girl, and the children. And I'm done with it. And that's just what it is. In the moment, you always think that something is such a great loss, but you realize later that if it's not there, it's not supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
And
Wow.
I think too, what we, especially as women, because we're much more emotional than we are logical, a lot of the times what we do after breakups is it's like we replay the most beautiful parts of our relationship over and over and over again and almost overlook the turmoil that we may have been in or the toxic experiences that we may have been experiencing, because it goes back to indoctrination of, oh, we're supposed to be married and start a family. And oh my God, I'm back to single and these streets are crazy and all of these different things that happen. But I think for me, I've never experienced that. I don't go backwards. And when I'm done, I'm done, you know, like, and there is no coming back, and they try, there is no coming back. The door is closed and I wish you well, but it won't be with me.
Right.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for every lesson. Thank you for your love. Thank you for all of the things. And also no, you know, so I haven't necessarily experienced that feeling of, you know, whatever, but I do know that I'm the beast that I have to slay, because when I know that I'm done and those little thoughts come on my shoulder, like, well, he did do this and he did act this way. And then it's like, get thee behind me. Say it. You know what I'm like? You've got to be your own cheerleader and condition the thoughts to make sure that you can powerfully move in the direction that you know is more aligned with who it is that you want to be.
And what I'm going to do now, we actually got somebody backstage that I'm going to go ahead and bring up here now. Shar, you have been patiently waiting. So we're going to go ahead and
let's bring her up real quick.
Our sister up here on the stage. So be patient with us, Shar, as we get it together. And guys, anybody else that wants to chime into this conversation, I want you to send your super chats over. Let us know your thoughts so we can go ahead and read them in just a few. But Shar, welcome to the stage.
Hi.
What's up? How are you?
I'm good.
Look, glad to have you here on the initiation hotline.
Where your lights at, Shar? Where your lights at?
Yeah, go ahead. Turn your lights on. There you go, Shar.
Perfect.
You're so beautiful.
Shar, do me a favor. This is how we're gonna start it. I want you to give me your age, your location, and then I want you to go ahead and tell us here whether or not you called off a wedding in the past.
So I'm 39. I live in Canada.
Wow.
Shout out to Canada.
And I called off. I mean, I didn't call off the wedding. I was engaged. I think similar to Chelsea, where there was something calling me to not set a date. And he was just like, let's set a date. And I was like, okay. But deep down, I said, something is telling me not to set a date. And a lot of times us women, you know, we don't listen to our gut feelings and we kind of just ignore, the things that, like our gut is telling us to do. And I was like, okay, I ignored all the red flags in the relationship. But I was like, this one here, this is a big one. So I need to listen. And sure enough, I was right.
Wow.
Yeah. Intuition.
For context, how long were you dating this guy?
I was with him for 7 years.
Ooh.
Dating for 7 years. Now, okay, so as you along the ride, you're dating him for the 7 years. At any point, did you think, hey, this is just too long to be dating somebody before marriage is even on the line of discussion?
Well, I didn't really think about the time that was passing. Because I had it in the back of my mind that, well, we're gonna eventually get married, things are gonna get better, and eventually we'll get married. And the years just didn't click to me. And so, I mean, looking back now, I definitely wouldn't be in a relationship for 7 years and not at least be engaged. But I wasn't really paying attention to the years, really.
Okay, because I'm really curious about that, because you'll hear that, sometimes you have women that say, hey, if a guy doesn't know after X amount of time, then he just get to stepping, right? But is it the same for women? Like if you're a woman and it's been a year, 2 years, and you still not sure
That would never
if
happen.
this is the one. Okay.
That would never happen.
Tell me.
Yeah, so I'm like I told you in the beginning, I'm super direct, right? So it's really hard to make it to a second date with me because I am very intuitive, right? So I can tell by the way you talk. I can tell by if we're talking about food or if we're talking about racism. I don't care what we're talking about. I can tell the way you think very quickly, right? And so if you make it to the second date or the third date, that means I really like you. So by the time we're a couple months in, that means that I'm really into you. And so at that point, I'm going to have a conversation with you and I'm going to let you, from day one with me, I'm not trying to make it super serious on first date, but from day one that I only date with intention at this point in my life, right? So by 3 months, we need to be having a conversation. And I'll tell you, I'm dating a guy now, right? We're not super serious, but I told him we're about a month and a half in. And I told him, we can take these 3 months to focus on each other, right? Because at the end of those 3 months, we'll know if we want to move forward. But what I'm not going to do is be 6 months down the line with you and we have no direction. I don't play those games. I'm way too old for that. So we would never make it to a year or two before I figure out if I want to be with you. We're not going to make it past a year.
Wow.
Like you probably going to have to go ahead and marry me.
And Shar, what are your thoughts about that? Do you think looking back on it that you should have considered the actual length of time that that the relationship was taking place?
Well, for me, I just wanted the relationship to work because we had issues throughout, the years that we were together. And for me, I just was carrying the hope that things are going to get better and that we're going to eventually get married. We were in counseling and, I just always had that hope. So I just didn't really think about, like I said, I just didn't really think about the time that was passing. And I just deep down, I'm like, he has most of what I want, but in terms of like the character that I guess the character that he portrayed to me, he was kind of like putting on a show for me, just so that, I could stay kind of thing. And I was just like, okay, let me just stay in this a little bit longer and just see where it goes and see if things will get better. He struggled a little bit with purpose. So I was like, okay, maybe he just needs a little more time. So I kind of just stuck around and I just waited it out and hoped that things would get better. But he, in his mind, he knew, or he said he was ready. He said he was ready to marry me. He's like, let's go down to City Hall. Let's just get married. But I was like, okay, I don't know if this is the right thing to do for me. So I think in his eyes, he was ready, or in his mind, he was ready. But I don't, like, looking back now, I think he just wanted that comfort of having a wife, you know, and I feel like it made his image look better. A lot of people said that he was, or no, I was too good for him. And
Wow,
I made
that's the
him
feedback
look
you was getting from your friends and family. They were saying, "Hey, you too good for this guy."
How old
Yeah,
were you
everybody.
when the relationship, when you got out of the relationship? How old were you?
This was 2 years ago, so it's 37,
Okay, so you were with him from like 29, 30.
30, yeah.
Okay. I just have a question for you guys because she just said something, you know, as she talked about he was struggling with his purpose.
Yeah.
Right. But then if he's struggling with his purpose, but he thinks he's ready to get married, I thought a lot of men didn't really like when you're trying to figure that out, like marriage is
You don't
usually
pursue
not
it.
on the table
Mhm.
for you, or you're not thinking about that. So I guess I'm wondering what you guys' opinion is.
Well, I don't think if you, cause this is the thing about purpose, it can be fleeting. So
Yes.
at any given
Yes.
point, a man can be without purpose. You could have one going strong for 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, and then it comes to a point where you got to, you know, recalibrate some things and kind of figure some things out and then get back to the mission.
Okay.
But I would say if you are currently on a journey for searching for purpose, a woman does not go with that. Like, I mean, not to be saying, hey, I'm gonna be with this woman for the rest of my life, because you got a little bit too much on your plate right now, which is just you being confused as a person before you could take on another
That's
woman
real.
and the issues that come with, you know, such a dynamic, you know, being. So I would say if you find a man that is without purpose, that he cannot possibly be ready for marriage.
Right.
Now, if you decide that move forward, you know, so let's say he had purpose, and then over time, some things happen, some things change, right? He was in the NBA, now he had to retire, and now he lost. Well, you got to give your man some grace period
Right.
for him to kind of, you know, like I said, recalibrate and figure things out.
Right.
But if you sense that this man was purposeless, then in my opinion, you really shouldn't even be in a relationship with them if that is how you met him. You get what I'm saying? But if you dating them as things change, it's different.
And I'm gonna bring a different perspective to the table because you know I think it's interesting to me how we watch our grandparents get married at 18. You know, even some people came on the show married at 21, 22, and you gonna have to really prove to me that them brothers had a purpose outlined to the T at that age. I don't think that's it. Now, I would say that them brothers probably has some really good raw materials in them that you could probably see and identify.
Okay.
And when I'm talking raw materials, I'm talking they had this level of ambition, this level of kind of figure it out, no matter what situation they in.
Yeah.
They had some decent character where they was honest. If they said they was going to do it, they'll do it, right? But they probably couldn't tell you exactly what the hell they was going to do. They probably was still applying for regular jobs until they figured out what was going on. They probably was still making their way in this world. I hate to push the, you know, concept that a brother has to be a finished product and have his purpose ideal and momentum in here and some money in the bank before he can actually pull it off. But I'm gonna be honest with you, it's damn hard in today's time if you ain't got that. But from when I'm hearing Shar in particular say that she would, I'm actually happy you brought that up because I actually wanted to ask a question about that. Because when you said he was struggling with his purpose, he was talking about this character. Did that mean that you saw that this brother was ambitionless? He did not have ambition and that grind that you would like to see in your husband?
Had ambition. He, you know, he had dreams, he had goals, and I would always push him, you know, to fulfill like his goals and you know, do what makes him happy. When I say purpose, he didn't have anything to ground him. He didn't have anything like he wasn't like I was the one that brought him closer to God. And I don't know if it worked, I don't know if it helped, but I was pushing my values onto him in a way. And so he kind of didn't have direction, I guess you could say. He had dreams and goals in terms of like his career and that, you know, he wanted to be married and have children, and that's as far as it went. And so purpose, I mean, like he was just very, I guess you could say, selfish in what he wanted to do for himself. He didn't really have direction. I don't know if that makes sense.
So no, so when you're talking about a man that has no direction and he's just a wanderer in life. I get that. I love when RC Blakes came up on this platform, because what
Love
he
him.
said
Yeah,
was so powerful. Actually, he said the biggest currency for a woman is vision.
Mhm.
So like, and see, that's the thing, because I don't necessarily look at both of those alike. Because for example, when I was in college and I was young, I didn't know how in the hell I was going to be successful. I had no roadmap to it. I just knew it was going to happen.
Yes.
Like if I was talking to a young lady, I could tell her, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to be said. We know, yeah, I'm going to have cars. I'm going to have a very nice house. I'm going to have a very beautiful family. We all going to live here. We all going to look like this. I want all my kids looking alike, because I grew up around some crazy shit with a bunch of kids looking around. Nah, this is the vision of the family I want, the life I want. And I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
Right. And that's okay to be there.
Yeah.
But when you have to impose your vision, your values, your desires onto a man, I can get why that's a turnoff, which is why I wanted clarity in that. Did you even find yourself having to motivate him on a day-to-day, or at times, or was he that kind of brother?
Yeah, I had to motivate him for sure. He was an angry guy for the most part. So I would always have to try to, calm him down and show him like, the better side of things. And like I was so deep in, like, I guess blindly in love that I didn't even know what I was doing, to be honest. I was just taking it day by day, and I'm like, okay, today's gonna be a better day. Let me be a good wife, or potential or future wife. Let me do the things that I need to do to make him happy. Not everything worked. I was just kind of doing the best that I could, but I think I fell so deep into it where I kind of lost myself in a way, because I was trying my hardest to keep this man like afloat and to, see the brighter things in life and to push him towards his dreams, his goals, because I thought that that's what I was supposed to do.
That sounds heavy. I'm curious. What was it about the guy that you actually was attracted to?
In the beginning, well, I knew him for a while. He's actually my best friend's cousin. So I knew him since I was like in high school. And so he always had a crush on me, but I was never really interested. And then when he reached out to me when I was about 29 or so, I was like, you know what, let me give this guy a chance. Like, I know his family, and he's a good guy, and he wants what I want. And at that time I wanted, because I had gotten out of a relationship before him too, another 7-year relationship with my daughter's father.
Wow.
And so I mean, it was probably like 3 years later, but so I thought I had healed. I was like, okay, I'm ready now. Finally, I'm ready to be a wife. I'm ready to get married, have more children. And so I was kind of just focused on that, and he wanted the same thing. And I was like, okay, we're aligned. This is it. And for me, I think I was going into it with not enough direction. Like
Sarah's
I knew.
because she's like,
That makes
that's
sense.
not alignment.
No.
Because they could have the same list. They had like the same little things written on the notepad.
Yes, but it's different. So there's so many things, Shar. And first and foremost, I just want to say thank you for sharing so vulnerably and transparently. That was very brave and courageous of you. So thank you for that. And also, I want to say 2 things. We as women will never feel safe if our man does not have a vision.
Yeah.
So when you were saying, Tashana, definitely agree with you. Like, a man has to have vision. He has to have a purpose, and then it has to be action. Otherwise, it's all just potential.
Right.
And there's a difference between potential in action and potential in theory. And a lot of us as women, we get locked into and we bite into or believe into or pour into the potential in theory. Oh, he's talking about these dreams. He's talking about this. That's just a great salesman, but he doesn't actually have the contents, right? It's like the label at the store. Imagine having, this is a bottle of water that I have here. Okay. Yeah, this is a bottle of water. But if I pour all the water out, What's in here? Nothing.
Yeah.
But it used to be a bottle of water. So I'd be like, oh yeah, I was drinking water. We have to be so mindful of, do you actually see it inside of his actions?
Yeah.
And like you said too, just because a man has a purpose right now, it might completely change in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. We don't know what that looks like, because life is like hopefully on an upward trajectory, but it's always changing. It's always shifting and moving.
But you can see signs of it though.
Yeah,
Like-
because you
like
see
discipline.
the actions,
Yes,
self-control,
execution.
self-respect, actually, and taking initiative to do the actual, and if there's a shift, it's like, this is shifting, but this is the new plan, and that's what vision actually is. A woman will not feel safe. And so I actually have a question for you, Shar. Did you feel safe taking the lead in that relationship? Because me personally, I don't want to be the person that's telling my man, come on, baby, you got to get up and get it. Or like, I don't want to be like, yes, we're encouragers and we're nurturers and we're lovers and we're motivating, but you shouldn't need that from me in order for you to be who you are.
Right.
How did you even do that?
Well, I mean, I didn't really have a lot of knowledge on this being in the relationship, and and I was kind of taking, like, I guess you could say, like, that masculine role where I was like kind of taking charge of everything, because like I saw that he was, he had his points where he was very low, and I'm like, okay, let me try to, and I just, for me, I guess maybe in the past I've been a people pleaser, or just somebody that likes to make people feel better when they're down. And so for me, I think it's just in me to be that way. So I don't necessarily know if what I was doing was the right thing. It just, in the moment, it just felt like, okay, he's down. Let me motivate him. Let me push him. Let me do all these things that were actually completely wrong. Like, I probably should have stepped back and let him, be like, let him kind of make these decisions on his own, and not have to be that one to push him and motivate him. Like, so I don't know, that all that talk with that masculine and feminine polarity type.
I love that talk.
Yeah, I feel like I would.
I mean, these different situations can put you on the opposite end of the spectrum, really.
Yep.
I mean, for men, it's funny because you talk about, like, if you're in a serious relationship, your man not sure what's going on, you can kind of take on the masculine role. It's funny because what I realize is, when I casually date, when I just have no intentions for women that I date, which I no longer do, by the way. But it's just something I be thinking, I be journaling and stuff. When I thought about it is, I would have these moments to where I would be on the feminine end of the spectrum. And this is why. Because I didn't have true intentions for this woman. I didn't have no plans for this woman. I would be like I would just always be last minute. I would be fumbling around what we gonna do and when I'm gonna hit her up. And even when it comes to doing things, I would like be very tentative about giving instruction for what we're gonna do, because I really didn't want to hang out with the person.
Right.
So that's the thing. So when you put yourself in these different situations and relationship dynamics, it's funny how doing something against what you know you should be doing can put you on the opposite end when it comes to being and I guess embracing your true essence. So I think for a woman in a serious relationship, the man has not taking control. Now you got to fall back to this place of being masculine, which is completely overwhelming, and then vice versa.
What Sarah was saying about the indoctrination, right? We're socialized, right, as women to believe. And so a lot of times when you don't know yourself, right, and Shar, it sounds like that's some of what was going on. And it sounds like that's what was going on in a lot of our situations too.
Yeah.
When you don't know yourself, you're afraid to be alone sometimes. And so you will take on a man that is not fully developed. And like you said, they don't have to be perfect, right? But you'll take on a project because you just want somebody, that warm body syndrome. You just want somebody to, right. So it's like, it's okay. I can mold him into what I want him to be. And the reality is that you can't mold anybody. I will say this, Shar, I really appreciate the fact that you were like, I was giving him my values of God, because in one sense, that's evangelism. And as a Christian woman, right, as an ordained elder, I really can appreciate that. I can say, I love the fact that you were trying to give him the love of God.
Yes.
On the other hand, that just means that you can evangelize, but you're unequally yoked. Right? You do not have somebody who's ready to at least meet you where you are, because they don't even know how. And so that doesn't make him a bad person. And I meant to say this earlier. every single relationship that I have been in, even my marriage, the guy that I talked about, all of them, each one of them has been a phenomenal person and given me phenomenal gifts, right?
Mhm.
I'm sure there's something that Shar got from that relationship that she learned, a trait, a skill, something, right? That she can now take, and it has helped her develop and become the person that she is now today. However, that doesn't mean that that person is your person. And so
Yeah.
once you figure out that that person cannot carry their weight and they cannot lead, you have to trust a man to
Yeah.
lead you.
Yes.
So once you figure out that they can't lead, you know, you have to move on. And so I'm really glad that you did move on, Shar.
Yeah.
Shar, thank you so much for coming up here and sharing your story. In
Yes.
fact, I see a brother in here, Reginald, who is he mentioned that he had to call one off. I want one of the
He's
brothers
kidding, really.
to come up here
Mhm.
and talk to us if y'all can, man. We went ahead and we dropped the link in the chat so y'all can go ahead and come on
Yeah.
up here and
Well,
give us some of this and give us your perspective on this conversation here.
And shout out to Shar, man. She did such an
Yeah,
excellent
she
job.
did.
Brave.
She did.
Because I
Very
know
brave.
a lot of people experience that, but you know, not a lot of people, I'm sure, sharing, even have those conversations about this kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I want to do real quick is read some of these super chats. Shout out to Lydia Weir. You guys always deliver. I always learn something on every topic. Bless you both. By the way, thanks for this time, 10 p.m. Shout out to Lydia. She's in the UK right now, so it's
Wow.
like super late over there. So she came through. Shout out to my girl Ari Nicole. She says, "Ladies, stop having children with men who haven't married you. You're in control of your womb, and stop wasting time. As women, we only want youth and beauty. We only have youth and beauty. Use it wisely."
Can I say
yeah,
something to
Sarah,
that?
go
Damn.
first.
I
Sarah.
Damn.
want to say something.
What you got to say on that, Sarah?
Yeah, I don't want to. Wait, what was her name? Because
Shout out to Ari.
Ari, thank
Ari.
you. First of all, I love your standpoint, and I hope that you stick with that for your body. I think that that's really beautiful. But to act like most people, let's say 99.9% of people are not sexually active on this planet. Some just get pregnant and decide to be responsible and go through with it. I don't think that that's something that we should villainize or take away from, because I'm sure there's been accidents for probably every person that is even watching this live. And if not, I love that for you, but for the majority of others, that's just not the case. And so I do think that there is a difference. There might be something that Chelsea gets to experience being a mom that I may never get to experience because I'm 35 years old and I don't have kids now. And maybe her kids are going to be able to be there for her at a capacity that I may not even be able to experience if I don't meet my husband and not have kids. So
Right.
I don't think that there's a right way or a wrong way to do anything. And just a shout out to Shar too, when she said, I did it. There is no wrong way. You got a beautiful opportunity to learn what works for you and what didn't. And you having children is never a mistake. So I hear what you're saying, but also, do that for you, but let's not villainize others.
Well, let me just say this, because even in what you just said, where you said, they chose to be responsible. And abortion can be responsible too. It is a woman's right to choose. But let me say this, as a woman who is 38 years old, right? I was married, but did not have children out of my marriage. Do not think that it hasn't crossed my mind, right? When I met with a reproductive doctor, don't think that it hasn't crossed my mind, because the doctor's like, hey, you could just go to a sperm bank, right? There's this whole organization across the world now called Single Mothers by Choice. And these women choose to either find a sperm donor, somebody they know, or they go to a sperm bank, right? And they do this because they want motherhood and they don't want their years to pass them by. So I think that, again, what Sarah said, if you choose to have children, you may not want to get married. That's a part of the indoctrination. You do not, if you don't want to get married, but you just want to have children, that's your choice. And so, I don't remember the young lady's name, Ari, again, you have your opinions and everyone's opinions are their own, right? But just don't ever use judgment, I would say, on people who choose to have children outside of marriage. Men and women do it all the time.
Yeah. It just, the responsibility more often than not falls on the woman, which is also not fair.
The way my relationship ended, I'm glad we didn't make it down the aisle.
Girl, that
Right.
Life would be a complete disaster
Right.
had I had these kids and
It's
this
not
business
a jail sentence.
and the things that I have in place and a marriage.
Yeah.
I know it was God literally deterring me from walking down the aisle, and so I'm grateful for it, because things would have been very different.
Yeah.
You gave me a new show topic though, because
Honestly,
Single
that-
Mothers by Choice. I did not know that was a
First of
thing.
all,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
the concept, you know,
The concept, right?
But
right,
it's
the
an
concept.
actual organization.
The
I did not
organization,
know that
yeah.
was like, I didn't know
Yeah.
women were volunteering for that setup and
Oh
arrangement.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie. It is the Saturday Night Live crew, Baby Mama, right? But in that movie, she had spent so many years, right, focusing on her career. So by the time she's ready to have a kid, her years are almost up, and she's having to look at surrogacy and go into a sperm bank, all that kind of stuff. And that really happens in real life. It's a comedy movie, but it's a real life scenario.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it
Wow.
is.
Well, let me tell you, I still haven't had my brother to come up in here for us to get his
Come on,
perspective. So
brother.
I'm gonna keep dropping this just in case y'all want to feel bold and come
on,
up here
fellas.
and tell y'all truth.
We need that. We
But
need
see,
that.
in the meantime, Ryan, we can actually pivot to what we actually had next to communicate about. Do we have anything else we wanted to announce before we moved on to the next segment here?
No. We good. We good. I'm just trying to figure this out. Listen, we got the trolls. The trolls that started coming. I think the channel is just growing so big that when the trolls come in. But no, we can keep it rolling.
Well, you know what? This is pretty phenomenal, guys,
I love
because
trolls.
The troll.
Come
Let
on,
'em in.
what's interesting is because I cannot find a brother to come up on here and give me his perspective, we actually found one for you guys.
Okay.
Okay. So in the meantime, we actually found one.
Wait, we
I-
found somebody who.
Yeah, a brother that called off a wedding. Actually, look, Ryan's surprised. So I want to talk about this.
Wait, when did we come up with this?
So because of this, right? We actually, I don't know if you guys ever heard about this situation, but there's a popular NBA player. His name is Steven Jackson. All right.
Okay.
So Steven Jackson's former basketball player, known for playing 14 seasons in the NBA,
Mhm.
played San Antonio Spurs, Atlanta Hawks, Golden State, very, very, very well known. But what happened was he was set to wed Amani. I think her name is Showalter. Hope I'm not butchering her name. A former reality star who appeared on the TV show Basketball Wives. All right.
Mm.
Now, in 2020, he actually recounted how he felt about why he left his wife at the altar because she actually wouldn't sign a prenup. So he called it off. Literally, she was at the altar, called it off, and I actually have a video with him talking about this occurrence. So hold on, Delano, before we get into it.
Well,
we're gonna go ahead and play that, and I want to we're gonna discuss this video here. Did you have anything before we
I'm
play?
gonna wait to drop it after we watch this video.
Go ahead, Lionel. Go ahead and drop that video for me, please. One second, y'all. Here we go.
Okay, so he's getting the video right. While he gets the video right, guys,
pull it up.
listen to this. I'm gonna go
ahead.
ahead and drop a poll real quick because this is interesting. Because it sounds like really all of y'all here with us and Shar on the call in. Everybody had a different situation in terms of calling off the proposal. It was all different. It wasn't necessarily like on one knee. So I want to drop a poll here. What counts as a true marriage proposal? Okay. So that's what I got. I got option 1, he gets down on one knee. Option 2, family or friends let you know. Option 3, he verbally mentions or asks, or is it all of the above? I'm gonna get you guys to say, what is that? Do all of those count as marriage proposals?
No, you got to be on one knee.
One knee. Get the ring.
Get the ring, bro.
I don't think so.
Really? So if I say, hey, let's get
What if
married,
you got bad knees? I mean,
okay.
I say get the ring. Get the ring.
Okay, maybe the ring.
Yeah.
That'll be a good, you know what I mean, a good measuring factor, but
Yeah.
not the knee.
Yeah, fine, not the knee, but like to actually
You
ask
could literally
with
be-
the ring in hand.
Yes. Okay.
You could sit down if you.
Right.
Yeah.
You got bad knees. We love you still.
Yeah.
We got you.
That's funny.
That's interesting. And and first of all, I could see that happening because your situation was different. He was actually in the store with you and pretty much asking you. Yeah, I mean, because I'm
And she
be
likes
honest.
older men, so them joints, you know. After a certain age, she like, you don't gotta kneel, you know.
Listen. I mean, it wouldn't matter if a man flew a banner across the sky. If he has a ring, or you are
Yes.
right there where he's willing to purchase the ring, and it goes on. I would say it needs to go on your finger, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Or at least be there with the ring, and the
Yeah.
person has to reject it,
Yes.
right? Like,
I agree.
Okay, so I just dropped that poll, so we're gonna find out. Delano, you got the video ready for us or what?
Okay, cool. And
Okay, again, just drop that poll, guys. What we got, Ty?
I'm actually gonna try to see if I can share my screen and play it here, Delano. Okay. So let me go ahead and see if I can share my screen and get this thing played on my end here.
These votes is coming in.
So
though.
check it out. Let me see if you guys can hear this thing. I'm playing it right now. My screen is shared. Let me see if I can play this.
My wedding was getting ready to start,
Lalo?
and I had been telling her 2 months before we was going to Texas, look, I'm telling you now, you need to sign this prenup, because I'm telling you, don't try me when I get there. You're not going to dictate how I take care of my mom and my sister and all. I know what you're up to, and by the fact that we're going through this, it's showing me a different side of you, because we never had these type of conversations.
Yeah.
So
What was the argument? I just want to know.
it really wasn't no argument. She kept saying she was going to sign it. I'm going to sign it. I'm going to sign it. But kept getting the attitude every time I brought it to her. I'm telling her, I'm like, look, I'm going to embarrass you in front of all these people. Don't do it. It's something up. You know what I'm saying? So I called it off. You know, I ended up wasting like close to $400,000 on the wedding. Just wasted, and we ended up just, you know, partying, and our relationship never been the same since.
Are they still
Insane.
together?
Well, I mean, it's never been
no,
the same. So yeah, I would assume no.
No, they're not together.
But he left her at the altar though.
Yeah.
Is that is
I
that
just
proper?
don't like his energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, let me say this. So I have been watching. Anthony O'Neill has an opinion on prenups, right? And
Okay.
He kind of broke down some things on why he thinks they're important. This is how I feel about prenups, because what a lot of people don't realize about prenups is that you can draft them to say whatever you want. You can draft it to say that you will not have access to a percentage of my money. I'll leave you $1 million when we go our separate ways. Or, you know, I'll leave you the house, but you won't get the house, or you won't get the beach house in Mexico. You can draft it to say whatever you want to say. I think that when there is an imbalance, so if I come into this marriage, and I'm sorry, this is just my opinion, it's going to be unpopular and they're going to get in the chat.
Okay.
But if I come into this marriage, let's say I work, but I make $100,000. Okay. The man is $20 million, right? That's his worth. I want that prenup to say something about making sure that I'm good when I walk away from this. Because let me tell you, as a lawyer, what a judge is going to say. When a judge weighs the totality of the circumstances. So one of the things in that equation is, what lifestyle were you provided during the marriage? Did you work? Did you contribute? So more likely than not, if a man has a bunch of money and there's no prenup signed and he gave you a lavish life, you're going to get good alimony. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would want you to say, what makes you feel comfortable? I'll sign this prenup, but what makes you feel comfortable? Because if you just switch up on me one day, I don't want to be left in the dust with nothing, right? Ooh. So I would feel comfortable with signing it, but the way he did it, he just had such an arrogance about him that wouldn't make me want to marry you anyways, because I don't know that you truly love me when you have that energy.
Yeah. But
wait, hold on. I want to find out, like, how much, what's the situation? So like, let's say you making 100,000.
Yes.
You go marry this guy. He's a multimillionaire.
Yes.
And he says, cool. What if it don't work out, I'll put you at 100,000 back where you was at. Is that enough?
Yeah. For 10 years. I mean, because at the end of the day, again, another thing that a judge will take into account is how long is it going to take this person to regain their footing after the divorce?
Yeah.
So if it's been a situation, because I can tell you right now, unless most people do not love their jobs, right? Most people are just going through the motions. So if you're not if you're not in a purposeful job, if somebody is $50 million and you're $100,000, you're probably not going to work. You're probably going to try to pop out some babies and sit down somewhere. Mm-hmm. So at that point, what do I need to do to get back on my feet, to get back in the work field, or to get my degree, or do whatever, or to make sure that my kids have a nice house and they didn't go from living in this multi-million-dollar mansion to now I'm living in an apartment, right?
Got it.
You got to make sure that you're good. So I'm not a person who wants to be unreasonable and take from a man everything that he's earned. You know what I'm saying? If I wasn't with you shooting in the gym, I get it. Yeah. But at the same time, you're going to make sure that I'm good. And that's how I know that you love me. Because when I got divorced, the first thing, there were reasons why we got divorced. But one of the first things he asked me was, what do you need? How much do I need to give you so that you can feel comfortable, that you can get back on your feet? And he said, I will continue taking care of you until you finish law school.
Wow.
I didn't have to ask a judge. We went to the judge uncontested because he gave me my lump sum and he gave me my monthly alimony until I was done with law school so that I could take care of myself.
Yeah.
That's a real
one.
provider. You understand what I'm
Mm.
saying? So, you know, at the end of the day, everybody's got their opinion, but when you love somebody, you don't want to see them in the dust.
I agree.
I
Can I just say
Yeah.
one thing?
Go ahead.
Okay, because I think that what you said is so good, Brittany. I could not agree with you more. And I also feel like the one thing that is not really thought about, and we talked a little bit about this, Tyshawn, but the one thing that I feel like is not thought about inside of a marriage, let's say we are married from 25 to 35 or 30 to 40, is our youth.
Yeah.
Like that is not accounted for. And realistically speaking, if a woman is a depreciating asset, because after 35 years old, we can no longer, it's much more challenging for us to create legacy. And we are with you for however many years. And after that, the man that we may want to marry next doesn't get that opportunity. Now I feel like, where does that come into play?
Yeah.
Because y'all want to talk about assets
Right.
and money and this and that, which is important. I'm not saying that those things should not be dealt with, but one of the most valuable things that we have on this planet is our time and our youth. And so I really feel like that's something that should also be accounted for inside of, if you are even if you make $1 million, you make $2 million and you're with the person that makes $10 million, where is because also this is another thing. And maybe it's just me. I don't really know. I've worked really hard in my life. I've achieved a lot of things in my life. I have traveled all over the world. I've done all of the things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And inside of that, if or when my husband says, you know what, baby, I want you to come with me, or I want you, oftentimes we as women end up kind of surrendering what we had going on to make sure that our man
That's
is
so
taken
true.
care of, to make sure that our man is on the straight and narrow,
Yep.
to see the things that he can't see, to warn him, hey, there's this bump in the road right there, without telling him there's a bump. It's like, oh, the last time we traveled this road, I think that there was a thing. And then he gets to say, oh yeah, there was a bump in the road. And then we celebrate him for acknowledging the fact that neither of us are going to hit the bump now, because now he remembered when he didn't remember at first. So there's so many different things that we as women bring to the table energetically
Yeah.
when we are inside of our divine feminine, that men
Yes.
want to be more, do more, and create more just by having us around.
That's a fact.
And those things are not accounted for.
Quantifiable.
Yes,
Yeah.
literally quantifiable things. I have never been with a man that hasn't made more money while I was with him.
All right,
That's
come
a
on.
I have,
Wow.
I have never,
Facts.
I am an absolute incubator.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're
I
going to
love
think
it.
all of this was your
I love
idea
it.
because I'm a master seed planter.
Mhm.
My job is
I
not
love
to be
it.
the leader.
I love
I am
it.
the neck, not the head.
Yeah.
But you can't turn a direction without me.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's really important for us as women to remember the things that are the most important inside of, if you don't make as much as your man makes, okay, great. Your youth is important.
Yeah.
So-
Can we quantifiably put that in a prenup as well?
Yes.
So this is interesting because first of all, the brothers that I know you talking to, because I already know how Sarah date, they gonna be considered in a damn prenup, all right? Because these brothers done did some things.
Yeah.
So here's the thing though. Are you, first of all, are you even open to signing a prenup?
Absolutely. I think it's smart.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way also for you to not just protect each other, but your family.
Mhm.
Like, why do we need to go to probate court over whatever? Like, why? If we truly love each other, because I don't believe that things are going to go bad, but in the event that things do go bad and they don't go in the direction that we want them to, I still care about you.
Yeah.
And if it's irreconcilable differences or we can't get it together, or we've just grown apart, why wouldn't we make it so that we have each other's back inside of that? That doesn't make sense
Well,
to
because
me.
So the-
usually by that time
You're a little bitter and resentful,
yeah, people
but
don't like each other anymore.
Yeah.
so
and
they
that's
don't
why
care.
you gotta do it
the prenup
before.
before you hate each other. You
Yes.
gotta
So-
do it when
yes.
you're
See, that's the
thinking
thing
clearly.
because with you now, that's what I want to kind of figure out, Sarah. So because obviously you feel very passionate about the prenup, so you're not just
Yeah.
signing
Right.
any prenup.
Right.
putting it from you.
No, I'm not.
There's got to be a good deal.
It got
It
to
gotta
be.
be like a Ginger situation where where De Niro put the $2 million in the safe deposit box
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
that's
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
I
You gotta
have
make
no
sure.
idea what you're talking about.
We need money in
No, I get it. I
okay,
get it.
okay.
I get what you're
reserve.
saying.
We need money in reserve.
So
like-
it's got to be
Right.
it's got to be attractive. So do y'all think that the situation with
Did he do the
Stephen
right
Jackson-
thing?
Jackson.
Yeah, did he do the right thing?
Well, no. Well, I'm curious. Why do you think that she didn't sign? Was it you think the offer wasn't attractive to her? Or?
Well, like so he kind of cued into something, or at least this was his perception,
okay.
that she kind of maybe, or he thought that maybe she was trying to get closer to the day and he wouldn't make her sign. He was like, I kind of see what you're doing. Like, I've asked you about this several times, right? it's not that he didn't make a valid argument, right? If you want someone to sign a prenup and they agreed to it, now you're pulling back on what you originally said. So she's changing the game, and he has the right to change the game too. If he doesn't want to marry her, he doesn't have to marry her.
Yeah.
Everyone has that right. We did it, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, the way that he did it and his arrogance on the television, it was almost like condescending.
Like, I'm gonna prove a point. I'm gonna show you.
Like it's like he's speaking about her in such a way that he didn't really love her. I just can't.
But the red flag for me inside of that video was actually when he started talking about, I know how you are. I know how you'll be with my mom and my sister.
You're not
Which
gonna control.
you don't trust this girl.
Yeah.
Why are you marrying her anyway?
Exactly.
You don't even really like her. If you are with somebody that you know would do your family dirty, why would you marry them?
No. What he stated was that you're not going to stop me from taking care of my mom.
Right.
Pretty much
that's
saying
my
like,
point.
You're not gonna.
I don't trust.
finances.
I don't trust that you would do right by my mom and my sister.
You're in a situation of divorce.
Yeah. Why would you marry that person? Why would you marry a person that doesn't care about your family like they're your family?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, see, if somebody is showing signs that they don't want to sign a prenuptial agreement, that could show that they do have some kind of
Ulterior
alternative benefit.
I agree.
Like, because at that point, if you said you was going to do it, you're not doing it. Okay, so what's going on here? Are you a person of character? Is it about the money? You starting to get pissed off that you can't get it? So, I mean, I can see how these thoughts can start to develop in someone's head now when you are now withdrawing or not wanting to sign a prenuptial agreement, which I'm sure had a lot to do with her walking away with a whole lot less money.
Now, he left her at the altar, though. So is there a proper way that you should end an engagement?
Yeah, that
or
was
end
cold,
the
like-
end the
Yeah.
marriage?
Wow.
Because here's the issue. My mother would always tell me, and I think a lot of Black mothers say this, but it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Yes.
So the issue is that there should have been something in him that said, listen, we've talked about this prenup several times. If it is not signed at least a month before, we're going to call off the wedding.
Yeah.
You do not wait until the day of, get all of those 400, those
To
people there,
embarrass her?
spend 400. Yeah, basically you're
That's
trying
crazy.
to prove a point. And
Yeah.
I think the way that he did it, there was a lack of humanity in what he did. You could have set the tone before. Y'all could have sent out a notification a month before, respectfully, we love each other, but we're not going to move forward with this. Sorry for any inconvenience, whatever. But to do it at the altar, it's giving you weren't ready for marriage.
Yeah. It's giving she dodged a bullet.
Yeah, it's giving that.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
Interesting.
I feel like in relationships, one of the things you really got to look at is how do you fight?
Mhm.
Like I'm not fighting you to hurt you, to kill you, to destroy you.
Yeah.
I want to fight, kill, and destroy the issue, the
Right,
problem,
right.
not my partner. So
Yeah.
if your goal is like, I have no problem absolutely humiliating my partner,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
you dodged
embarrass
the bullet,
you?
sis.
Like,
Yeah.
how do you even say that?
that's
crazy.
wild to me.
Wow.
That's crazy.
No good.
So
She
I'm
called his bluff, though.
I'm
She
gonna
did.
ask y'all to do something that you don't normally see ladies do.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Now think about it from his perspective.
Yeah.
Do you think that he made the right decision
Yes.
to
Yeah.
call it off in that way?
He doesn't trust or respect that girl.
Not in that way, but I understand his logic for sure. There were some red flags there. And
So did-
She got a
who's-
sign.
Yeah, a woman who's saying, I have no problem signing, and then you're just dragging it out, purposely waiting and getting close.
Wait a minute. Because we talked about how maybe a woman can accept a marriage proposal, but still kind of be on edge about whether she should move forward or not. So could that have been her situation? Maybe she was stating,
But then they
I will
both
sign
petty.
is that, I mean, but is that petty? Is that petty?
You petty because also it's one thing, like you said, if you accept the ring. I'm not talking about like what happened in your situation
no,
where
I know.
you accepted it
Mhm.
and it's like, over time it's like,
Mm.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
You also let it get up to the wedding day. So if she had any kind of ambivalence or
Mhm.
resistance and she let it get up to the wedding day, she just as
Yeah.
goofy as him.
Yeah.
And they don't need to be married.
My
'Cause
question
this is
Where's the leadership?
yeah.
Like
There-
as
there
a
is none.
as a man, I think one of the most beautiful opportunities for a man in his masculine, and look, I don't know this man and I'm not here to judge this man, but I'm just talking specifically about masculine energy. There's such a beautiful opportunity to one, have certainty inside of the way that you move and have leadership inside of the way that you move.
Yeah.
And what inside of a woman would feel safe knowing that her man doesn't have leadership? That's not like Brittany said, like he could have said, you have until this day or we're calling off the wedding. He could have
Set boundaries.
You like it's up
You
to
don't
you.
Go and
We follow
humiliate.
you.
Yeah, exactly. How you gonna let it get up to the wedding day just to prove a point?
Yeah, that's wild.
Like, I
She
know she's not
also-
gonna be there. And
Yeah,
she's there.
exactly.
And she like, I know he not gonna, like, y'all both just set yourselves up to look
Failure.
crazy. Yeah.
She could have also, this is the other thing, you know, as you're doing, I mean, a prenup is a contract, right?
Mhm.
She could have also said, look, I don't feel comfortable with the way that the terms are said.
Worded exactly.
Can we talk about it being a little different, right? Right
Mhm.
now you have it written up such that I feel like I'm going to be left in the dust.
Mhm.
Can we talk about changing it so that I'll be taken care of without even really denting, right, your pockets, right? Because he got money, right? So she could have done that. It's all types of conversations that could have been had that could have saved and salvaged. But I'm actually glad that it happened the way that it did, not for her sake or for any of the guests or for his pockets. But I'm glad that it didn't go through because, again, nothing in that video conveyed to me that there was enough love there.
Yeah.
And organization
Or respect.
leadership, all of the above, right? There was just not enough of that to have. Marriage is not, it's not easy, even when you truly love somebody.
Yes.
Right. So there just wasn't enough there, because to speak about somebody that way that you were going
Yeah.
to marry, no.
Brittany over here teaching the ladies some negotiation tactics over here. She like, listen, ladies, he put it on the table. You don't like what it say?
Renegotiate.
Let's go back to
This
the
is
negotiation
right.
table.
Accept the
Hey.
first offer.
Okay, you gotta draft something else up, playboy.
Right.
Yeah, let's get this in writing. Hold on.
This
Oh my God.
split right here.
has
basically.
this experience, and I'll start with you, Chelsea, has, end up calling off a marriage, calling off an engagement. Did that change your perspective on relationships at all?
Oh my gosh. Man. I feel like my ex low key like tried to put me in a real financial bind during our breakup. And I don't know if it was a control thing. I don't know if it was let me try to make this difficult so she could try to come running back type of thing. But for me, it just really put things in perspective even more so, because I've already been so sensitive to having my own and being independent and taking care of myself on a legal, not even legal, but just taking care of myself as a woman, and seeing someone that I was so in love with and somebody that I thought I was going to have forever with walk away and leave me in such a bind, a financial bind like that. I was like, oh, I rode with you from day one of coming home from prison when we didn't have nothing. And together we built this, and you're going to try to, like, not going to say financially sabotage, but you left me in some stuff. And it's like, so it further reiterated the mission that I'm already on of just, I hate to say, but like female independence and just having your own, especially now that I got these kids. So it's like, I feel like I'm no longer just dating aimlessly like I was before him, like just dating whoever. Like now I really have to be conscious of certain things, and I have a lot more to lose now.
Yeah.
Like, I got these kids and I have a successful business, and so many times we talk about prenups and all of these things, and the woman is the one that has less than the man. And, hopefully in my next relationships, I'm dating up as well. But, it's just something to think about. Things are just definitely different now. And I was initially very afraid of marriage. Like, how do you go from being engaged to your best friend, the person who you think has your back
Right.
more than anything, and then you see their ugly side and you see how they left you for what feels like dead, and you're just like, how do you even navigate that going forward? Like, who, so it's, for a minute I was like, I don't want to get married. Like, I don't trust it anymore. I have too much to lose, and I feel like, you just never. I've known him for so many years, and so now it's just like going forward, just that trust has to be there. And I don't know if I can trust you in a year or 2 years. I knew this man for so many years, and you still did it that way.
Yeah.
So I'm still hopeful for love. Like, I definitely still, now I say I want to be married. Yeah. But I'm still kind of like 1 foot in and 1 foot out, because it's just so scary to think that you could be committed and really, really all in with one person for your whole life and things can just shift.
Yeah.
You know, it's a scary reality, but I watched it happen in real time, you know? So
Is there
That's
anything,
very
is there
honest.
anything that you think you could have saw or did differently to expose or to see earlier or sooner who he was? Or was there nothing at that point that you could have done?
I think there was a lot. Yeah, like listening to Shar, I think that was her name. I definitely see a lot of myself in her for sure.
Wow.
From the best friend to the 7 years to the people pleasing, you know. I think when you're really in love with somebody, you tend to just see the things that you want to see more than the red flags and everything else. You know, you give so much grace and you have so much compassion. And I'm an empath. Like I love hard, you know, and so I think the signs were there. And I think that I just chose to ignore my personal boundaries for the sake of loving him the way I knew he needed to be loved and being that one person that I knew nobody was ever going to do you better than me. Nobody's going to love you like me. So let me just pour this love on you and hope and pray that it amounts to something beautiful and we can grow together forever. But whole time I was definitely like stabbing myself without realizing it. You know, every time I was dragging him and pushing him, motivating him, I was literally just taking L's and I was willing to do it because I loved my man. And it's just like, that's what we are willing to do, you know, for the greater good of the situation. We'll take the L. We'll deal with what hurts the most, you know, for the sake of this possibly working out. But in the end of the day, it's like, we're not happy. You're not happy hearing me in your ear 24/7. And I know I'm going to bed at the end of the night feeling a huge void because the partner that I'm giving my all to is not reciprocating that same energy that I need to feel whole and happy as well from my partner, you know? So I ignored the red flags because I cared more about the fairy tale and the happy ending. You know, the family unit for my kids. I definitely kept justifying it and making excuses and giving grace. You know, he just came home. He only knows the streets. Right. You know, he's trying.
He's never had a
You didn't know it, but it wasn't your problem.
Right.
It wasn't my problem. It wasn't my project. It wasn't. So,
you know, one of the things that this makes me think of, because I believe in 100% responsibility, right? Like take responsibility for the part that we played. And so my answer is a little different from Chelsea, but also very similar in the sense where you start to notice when you are coming out of character. And I think for me, that's when I'm like, ooh, like this really doesn't feel, because I'm not even being myself. And, you know, I've traveled all over the world. I'm an international speaker. Like I've spoken in Iceland, Mexico, Canada, almost every state in America. And it's literally like this super highly effective communicator is shutting down in her relationship. And it's crazy because it wasn't until I found Dr. Gottman, and he speaks about the Gottman theory. And inside of the Gottman theory, he says with an over 90% success rate of being able to tell whether a relationship is guaranteed to end or not is if you see what he calls the 4 horsemen. And the 4 horsemen are stonewalling, which is where you shut down, defensiveness, where you can't take any kind of conversation, criticism, where you're constantly picking at the person. And oftentimes criticism and defensiveness go hand in hand. And the 4th is contentment. And that's where you put yourself above your partner. And he says that's the worst of all of them. When your partner at the time was belittling you, that's contentment, right? They want you to think that you're lesser than them. And so I realized that, you know, grown, successful, effective communicating Sarah was so frustrated in my relationship that I was shutting down. I have no more words. I don't know what to say to you because honestly, I don't even feel like when I do speak, you hear me. You're just defensive and then you criticize. You're just defensive. So why even say anything anyway? And so I started to notice, like, it was like my light was gone. You know, like that energy thing.
Dim yourself.
I had, yes. And it was these little things. And so I would say, yes, be mindful of that other person. I have a laundry list of things that I feel like that person did that were wrong. But the biggest wrong were the ones I did for myself when I rationalized bad behavior from him and from me. You know, and I think that it is a beautiful opportunity for us to take responsibility of, are you shutting down inside of your relationship? Are you criticizing your partner, or are you, I heard someone say this beautiful quote. He said, you have to be able to tell a man they did the wrong thing the right way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's good.
Because if you tell him that he did the wrong thing the wrong way, you're not going to get the result that you want. So are you able to not criticize, but encourage and plant seeds in love? And this is another thing I get frustrated about, because women are like, I don't want to have the patience to do this with my man. I don't have the patience to coddle and then don't date a top 1% masculine man. Don't do it. Go get you a man that's a little more feminine, that is okay with not being coddled, that is okay with you having to plant seeds and do all these things. It's just the way it is. If you don't want a steak, don't order a steak. If you don't want a pizza, don't order a pizza. But you've got to get real with what it is that you're asking for. A lot of women say they want one thing, but then act in a different capacity, and men too, right? Men will be like, "Oh, I want."
No, that's a whole
Y'all
nother-
ain't in alignment, okay? Y'all ain't in alignment. But
Sarah, I think the old folks, basically a sect of what you said, the old folks would say you catch more flies
with honey than vinegar,
right?
yes.
Right.
So you do have to learn to talk to people. And I would agree. I didn't know about the Gottman theory, but what I will say is that those are things that I have just noticed, right? I notice when I'm in a relationship and there's an argument, how quickly do you bounce back?
Yes.
And did you hit below the belt,
Ooh,
right?
yes.
Did you say things in a kind and loving way? And I will tell you, everybody has a best of themselves and a worst of themselves. You can
Yes.
usually tell if a relationship is going to work if a person brings out the best in you, right?
Mhm.
You're irritated, you're whatever, you're in the middle of an argument and you say, baby, I need a minute. I'm going to walk away, whatever, right? Because I wouldn't dream of disrespecting my
Mhm.
man. in that way.
Period.
But then there are some people you'd be like, what? Like, I don't, you want to argue, you
Right.
want to fight,
Right.
Like, you feel like you dang near want to knock them out, right?
Mhm.
And that is not the person for you.
No, because
right?
you don't trust them,
Right.
or respect them.
Mhm.
It's the respect.
Yes.
If you don't respect a person, then you especially a woman to a man, right? I mean, it has to go both ways. But if a woman does not respect a man, I promise you the relationship
work.
will fail, because a woman wants to, I think one of the greatest things that a woman wants to respect is your mind, right?
Mhm.
She wants to, how do you think about things? How do you structure in your mind the family unit, right? What plans do you have? Not just the dreams that you have, but what is the goals that you've written down? What are the dates that go with that? What is the execution strategy, right? So when you're talking about all of that, a woman really wants to respect.
Yeah.
And I think the original question was, we got off, but I think the original question was really talking about what it is that you could have done differently in the situation, or how it's changed you. So I'll say that for me, there was a lot that I did wrong. Let me be clear in saying that even though this dude belittled me, whatever, he also did a lot of good things, right? Whereas I was 23, I can tell you right now, I didn't know how to be a good woman, right? So I was out kicking it at the clubs at 23, right? And he probably looking at me like, what you got going on? You know what I'm saying? Right. Right. Like I was literally like at Compound all the time. You know what I mean? Like just everywhere, doing everything. And he let me do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that is not the woman that a 44-year-old man needs,
Right.
right? So there were things that I could have done differently. And I'm sure that because he brought out the worst in me, I'm sure that there were times that my mouth got ahead of me, right? And I said things that were disrespectful as well. So I don't want to make it seem like that at that age that I was the woman that I was supposed to be. How it has changed me or what it has added to me, I think that one of the things that I would tell women that are listening, men too, when you have to beg somebody for the things that should just come naturally, love, respect, fidelity, right? Support, communication. When you have to beg somebody for those things, because there's a hunter in all of us. We all want what we can't have when we're immature, right? We all want what is forbidden when we're immature. So the man is not giving you what you want, or the woman's not giving you what you want. So you're begging, please, please, please treat me good, treat me good. I promise you, by the time you get it, you're not even gonna want it, right? Because you had to beg somebody to give you what is just supposed to be natural. So that's the first lesson that I really learned. The second thing that I would say is that you really have to look at, like Sarah said, she really took it when we opened up and she was talking about alignment, right? Love is not enough always, right? you can love somebody deeply and intimately and want to do, you will put your life, you will get in front of a train for that person. You love them so much. But at the end of the day, if you haven't talked about your vision and your purpose, if you haven't talked about what you want your families to look like, because you'd be surprised, that breaks up a lot of people too. Oh, we're this far in a relationship. Why are we just talking about if we want kids, right? Now it's a deal breaker for one person and it's not right. So looking at those types of things, I always say communication is so important. And what I mean by that is, what's too much time for you? What's too little time to where I feel neglected? So if you're in a relationship and the guy is like, I want to go with my boys, I don't want to be up underneath you all the time. And the woman's like, I want to be up underneath my man all the time. Baby, what's going to make you feel neglected? Because we don't have the same loving style, right? What's going to make you feel neglected? And what's going to make you feel like you have space? So that we can breathe in this. These are simple things that people don't even talk about, right?
Yeah.
So now I literally have conversations that are uncomfortable. And people say, did you really say that? And I'm like, yeah, because I'm direct, right? I don't have to say it in a mean way.
Yeah.
But we need to talk about these things, because if it ain't gonna work, it ain't gonna work.
Period.
And I don't even want to play games with you.
Yeah.
Period. I don't have time to waste.
Period.
I'm too old. for that.
We grown.
We grown now.
We grown out here.
Real grown.
Speaking of being grown, one thing I do know that each of you ladies do just by talking in private is y'all attract men, at least on the outside, that a lot of ladies want. Right? They got these qualities about them. They got this track record about them
It's true.
that will make them attractive to a lot of young ladies.
Yeah.
I want to ask this, because when it comes in particular to, going after a very successful, ambitious man, are there certain concessions that a young lady who is interested in this kind of man,
Yes.
she would need to make when considering this man as a long-term partner?
Yes.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I'm like, shall I start or do you want?
Go ahead. Let me
Brittany
know.
taking a deep breath.
I want to know here.
You want to start?
So let me say this.
It was the side for me.
Sarah, I don't know who's supposed to start. But what I will say, yes, I'm going to agree with Sarah. There are certain things that you may have to forego, because a man that I haven't really dated I'll just say since that first relationship that I told y'all about, all of them have been high value. Okay. Based on monetary standards, right? But people who are high value typically have really good work ethic. And so when you have good work ethic, you are going to be sacrificing certain things like time.
Time.
Right?
Baby.
Let's talk about it.
I'm trying to tell you, and
it works
what I
both
will
ways.
say is, no, it does
Yeah.
work both, right? Because we're all successful women as well, and I have things to do, and I don't believe in sitting up underneath somebody all day. I think it's beautiful when we have time together, but we both have visions and purposes, and that requires some time apart, right?
Yes.
That requires some separation. But I guess what I'm saying is that a man who I was dating this guy. I'm sorry, y'all. I just thought about this. I was dating this guy, and he still made good money, but he wasn't one of the top earners of what I've dated. And I remember sitting there thinking, this is nice because we hang out like every weekend. But I remember thinking, I'm going to end up spending my life sitting on a couch, watching Netflix, having barbecues every weekend. Because this, and I'm serious, and I say that because at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with doing that sometimes. You want to do that with your partner. You want to have familial moments and tender moments with your partner and with your family. But when a person literally has like that 9 to 5 work ethic, they don't do any work after they get off. They're not a visionary. They're not building something greater than themselves that's going to help people outside of themselves. They're not community minded. Then you are going to probably traffic in the regular, as I was talking about before. So if you want somebody, I'm just saying it's not
because to be clear, this is like the average man. The average person in general has the 9 to 5 mindset.
Right.
Right. And I had it at one point too, because if I'm honest about it, I didn't think that at one point in my life, I saw my sister, she was an entrepreneur. She could turn nothing into something real fast. And I'd never had it. And I was always jealous of her, not in a bad way, but like, dang, I wish I could be like Courtney, right? Because she is an entrepreneur through and through. Whereas me, I literally thought that I was going to die with a pension working for somebody, the government or something like that. Like I had a very normal and regular mind, which I'm not saying if that's the life that you choose, I'm not judging anyone. Do whatever you want to do. But I guess what I'm saying is that if you want that man that's going to do great things, change the world, change the community, change Black families, right? That's important to me. When I think about those things, you're going to sacrifice some time, period. That's important to a lot of women. They want time. So
I agree.
So time, so you're saying the biggest, hurdle when it comes to dealing with this brother, or it's something that you're going to have to sacrifice?
The high value man.
Time is one. Another thing is a lot of those men are not wired for those small romantic gestures. Like they will do sweet things for you from time. But this, I'll tell you. So my ex-husband used to say this to me. He used to say he was very busy. He had about 10 projects on his plate. He was in politics. He was a pastor. He had his own organization. He was a lobbyist. He did a lot of things, right?
I think I know who his brother is. Let me look this brother up.
Listen, don't look him up. But I'm saying that to say that he used to tell me, Brittany, I do these things, right? I'm romantic with you because I know that's what you want, but it doesn't come naturally to me. So when I do those things, I feel outside of myself. And so I just think that sometimes you will sacrifice those things, because when you're talking about people like, now I've never dated anybody as wealthy as like a Elon Musk or something like that, but I can almost imagine that those types of men their minds ain't there at all. They don't have time for it.
What's your thoughts on that, Sarah?
I think there's two things. Number one, you've got to master the monkey on your back that's going to tell you that your man is out here cheating when he's busy. And so what I mean by that is you've got to get some girlfriends, okay? Get you some like ethical, like moral women in your life that'll talk you off the ledge, because we are emotional creatures.
Like ethical, not the. Not them.
We don't need them. Because those be the ones that be like, girl, you need to leave your man. He should be doing. First of all, don't tell me what my man should be doing when you haven't had a caliber like him. Period.
Wow.
You know, I feel like there are so many women out here that will be angry or jealous or envious of the situation that you have, because they see how that man loves you, or they may see the things that you get, or they see the way that you live, and they're just waiting to destroy it. Right. And so for you as a woman, for us, it's so important. For me, my number one is my mom. My number two is my sister. And then I have my soul sister goddess tribe. And I would literally take a bullet for everyone in the tribe. Now, that being said, some of them would just be straight throughs. You know, I'm not dying for everybody in the tribe. I will push you out the way and get grazed, straight through. But others I would literally give my life for, because I know how they love me, and it is genuine, and it is authentic, and it is with accountability. It is with love, and it is with compassion. And those things, when they'll call me out like, Sarah, you're tripping. And it might be because I was hungry. It might be because I'm frustrated. It might be because I need a nap. It might be because of my own life that gets things going on. But oftentimes when women are upset about something, talk to someone or those people that you trust. Talk to God, whoever it is that you need to talk. I say girls, because me and God have we talk about other stuff. I need to get this energy off of me, because I have heavy energy. When it's great, it's great. And when it's not, it's not. So I need to go get that energy off me and be like, you know what? I think this. And then somebody's going to say, okay, how you feel is valid. And
right, though, Sarah,
I might be, but the energy is different.
So are you sacrificing? Because what it sounds like you're saying is, so I don't agree. I do not think that just because a man is a high earner, I'm not. Some women will say, if I got to be sad, if I got to cry, I would rather cry in a Bentley. I don't want to cry at all.
No.
And I'm not sacrificing for a bag, shoes, Bentley, or none of the other things. You still going to do right by me.
I'm glad that you said that.
Until you do right by me. Just like Celie said, I am not playing with you. Like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So
No,
I agree with that.
I'm glad that you said that. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is you've got to get the energy and the emotion off of it. because men don't hear the same way.
Oh, yes,
so
you're
so
right.
I'm saying inside
right.
of the conversation, if I'm upset, I've had time to talk it out.
Yeah.
I've had time to take the emotion off of it. I've had time to like really bring it down so that if
Yeah.
it even is something to be
Mhm.
upset about and have the conversation
Exactly.
about, now I can walk up to my man and I could say, oh, you know what, baby, may I share something with you?
Mhm.
And then when you get some time and he's like, you know what, right now, I'm like, no, I want to make sure you got time to talk about it. And when he says, you know what, sure, let's talk tonight. Let me just finish what I have going on here. Then he's like, okay, he comes back. What's the problem? Well, I feel like XYZ. This is what I want. This is what I don't want. Masculine energy wants to solve the problem. So now I've gotten it off my chest, but I didn't come at him crazy. And because I didn't come at him crazy, there's no beef and no problems. I am not saying don't express yourself because it is very important to make it clear and have those hard conversations. But it's harder for a man to hear you if you say it in the wrong way, especially with that top 1% masculine energy. They don't want
logic.
masculine energy.
Yeah.
Logic, not
They
emotion.
want cooing.
Soft.
They
Yeah,
want
that's true.
love. They want soft, right? So I can only speak from experience, and I've had experience, but I would say get you a tribe that loves you and wants the best for you, that you trust you can take that emotion off and then get to a conversation. Number one. Number two, you got to get out of your own head. Just because that man is busy does not mean that he's cheating.
Yeah.
Stop making him
Yes.
Stop making him
Yes,
try to
that's
check
what I was
in
saying, yes.
every so whatever. Like he's not the man that's gonna call you before each meeting. He's not the man that's gonna call you and be like, "Hey, I just wanted to check on your day." He might be going from this to do this, to do that, to do this and do this. And you know what? He might hit you at the end of the night, baby. I had a day. He might not have been able to send you the good morning text because the morning started late and whatever happened. And instead of thinking, well, he didn't say good morning to me. Is that actually important to you?
I want the no. The busiest men in this world got the time to send a text, and I'm not going to accept that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Especially in the beginning. In the beginning, 'cause love bombing comes in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, you're right.
Love bombing doesn't only come with gifts. And
Right.
I've noticed that, like, I'm not like a pro, like these ladies, y'all got to figure it out. I'm not going to lie. I still feel very new to the dating world, you know, just being a year single after 7 years, you know, you put yourself in a bubble with one person for almost a decade and you do things just the way they liked it. And just so now being out here in this single dating world, it's like, oh
Welcome.
my gosh, I have a lot.
Right.
Not welcome.
To the jungle.
To the dark side. It's wild out here.
It is wild. It's crazy. So I don't have like a whole bunch of experiences in, you know, in this dating realm of my life before babies, before 7 years ago when it didn't even really, you know, I've dated back then unintentionally with no real goal other than companionship and just having a partner, you know. But now I've noticed that, you go from being engaged and being in a long-term committed relationship and you're used to feeling like the priority at all times. You know, you have someone there checking for you at all times, making sure you made it home safe, making sure you made your flight safe. And now all of a sudden, you know, you don't have those things, you know. And I've just learned that, you know, dating or seeing, you know, high value men, I've had to learn, like, you know, they got to where they're at for a reason. And if I wasn't the woman that I am, I don't know if I could really just accept a friend saying, Chelsea, if he's, you know, if he's not checking in, if he's not doing this and that, he's not just cheating. I think me having to step into that businesswoman myself and realizing like, oh my God, I haven't even hit him. It's been 5 hours.
Literally.
I feel bad. I'm like, oh man, I've been on back-to-back Zooms. I've been on calls. He's probably gonna think I'm cheating. And I realized like, wow, you know, to get me to where I am today at a comfortable financial standpoint, it has come with an extreme level of sacrifice
and focus. Yes.
And the average, a lot of men don't even understand that. So I can see in myself like, dang, like if I'm going to be expecting somebody to, you know, move and groove to my lifestyle and understand that, you know, I may not always be able to pick up your call. Like I used to be that girl, like I'm picking up every call if I like you. No. It's like, I want to show you I like you. I want to be available to you. But now as much as I like you, I just may not be able to be there.
But I think it also matters where you are in the relationship. You not sending a good morning text at a month in, you know what I'm saying? It is going to be different than where you are by the time you're engaged. Y'all might still live in separate houses or whatever, right? You'll have an understanding and an understanding of the flow of how your partner moves. So like you said, yes, there are days where, you know what I mean? I'm in court. I can't answer your text at that time. But at the same time, I know that like, I have time when I'm driving to court to send a, hey, it's
Yeah.
going to be a busy day.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'll hit you at the end of my day. And that's a simple thing to do. And
It is.
and that's what the line of demarcation is, when you really love and care about somebody,
Yeah.
right? Because it matters how they want to be loved.
Mhm.
So if you really love somebody, even if you're a super busy person, but you know that that text will affirm them, you'll
Yeah.
send that text.
And it's about being equally yoked at the end of the day. 'Cause
Yes,
certain
that
things
part.
you don't have to
Yeah.
be taught. You don't have to be
Yeah.
reminded. If you're on my mind and if I like you enough,
right.
I'm going to do those gestures. It comes
Exactly.
naturally.
Yes.
So I think
And just
it's
so we're
important.
clear, I think you will not be dating long, because like as I listen to you, I just feel like you have a good heart. I
Thank
feel
you.
yeah,
True.
yeah.
Thank
Like
you.
totally. You're gonna
Let's all close our eyes and manifest.
It's a moment. It's a moment happening right here.
You out
I'm
there.
just saying.
It's a moment.
I'm just saying. I'm saying.
Thank
Says
you,
you got that
baby.
wife mentality.
Thank you, baby. I think
Thank
so.
you.
And I
Absolutely.
think you both do
Absolutely.
as well.
Thank
and I
you.
think that, you
Thank
know,
you.
we're deserving of the most amazing men.
And that's what'll
You know.
happen.
Well, wait, just to be
And-
clear, are all of the ladies
I
here
was just
single?
about to ask that.
All ladies
Yes,
single?
I am.
Technically, yeah.
Technically.
Okay.
I'm not
Single
married.
until married.
I'm not married. Okay, I know what that
Well,
means.
no,
Okay.
because if you're engaged or you're seriously in a relationship,
Yeah.
you going to somebody's mama house every weekend and all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Like, no. I wouldn't call you single. But if you are in a space where you're dating multiple people, or there has been no man that has said, we're dating, we really like each other, I want to take you off the market, you're a free agent.
Yeah.
You're a free agent.
Oh,
Interesting.
okay.
I'm not married.
Sarah's like,
taken.
Yeah.
Sarah's taken.
Right.
as
She-
dating.
I'm not married.
2.5.
And you know what
She gotta
else?
get-
You know what else I feel like in my heart of hearts, for my man, don't give me anything you can't be consistent with.
Okay.
So I feel like if you can't give me the good morning text until the end of time, I don't need the good morning text.
I can't. do
Uh,
that.
I don't.
You can't?
It becomes an expectation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
See,
don't.
so
I
that's
don't-
that's the thing. No. I do. I'm very wary at starting things that I know I won't be, because that's what women are.
It erodes
It
trust.
starts cute, and then it starts to wait. Where the hell my text at this
Yes.
moment?
Yeah.
It becomes an obligation very fast.
I agree, but I'm gonna tell you what my ex-husband said to me, and he did the right thing, because we spent a lot of time together at the beginning, right? And he said to me, I want you to understand that this is not long-term sustainable.
Mm.
And I said, what does that mean? And he's like, we're not going to be able to spend this much time together. Like, I have to get back to all of my engagements, because at the beginning, you kind of make concessions for people, right? When you're
Mhm.
really into them. And I'm glad he said it, because once it got back to the point where he had 15 meetings in a day, and I knew he wasn't going to get home until 9 p.m. You know what I'm saying? He still called and checked in throughout the day. But I'm saying that to say, now I understand why we just can't kick it all day, right? Because
Yeah.
I was a housewife. I didn't work. I was only in law school while I was married, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. So because I didn't work, obviously I had a little bit more time on my hands than he did. Because I would study for 10 hours a day, right? 12 hours a day, but I still can stop and take a break when I want to, whereas he can't, because he's in full-time law school and doing all these other projects as well, right?
Mm.
So it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, he set the expectation.
Mhm.
This ain't gonna last.
I'd say get a hobby.
Honestly, that's
Not you. I'm saying for the women.
Yes.
The
That have
agreement,
time.
the agreement in the marriage was, I'll take care of everything financially. I
Mhm.
want you to focus on school, but
Mm.
also, I did all the cooking and cleaning, right? And I didn't have a problem with that, because I didn't want to work and go to law school. So
Right.
I made, the agreement, and I was okay with those kind of traditional roles. And so
Yeah.
I was managing his schedule, going to all his speaking engagements,
Wow.
standing in as a wife,
Love that.
doing all those things
Yep.
and supporting him. So at the end of the day, it depends on where the relationship is, right?
Mhm.
But it's not sustainable to
The-
be up underneath each other.
Mm-mm. And an idle mind is truly the devil's playground.
Ooh, child.
Ladies,
Get busy.
get a hobby.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
pick up a skill, learn another language,
some
go to
business
school.
about yourself.
Learn how to
Get
cook some
business,
dishes.
go get some
Right.
money.
Like, do
Learn
the
how to
thing,
cook
do
and
the
clean,
thing.
ladies. That's the two
Instagram
most
got all the
important
information.
hobbies
Nope.
that you can
There's
have.
housekeepers for that.
Not period. I'm not subscribing to that.
Nah. No.
not subscribing to cooking. And
No,
cleaning?
I love
actually,
to
this
cook.
is the thing.
I
If
love
I am
cooking.
inspired by my man, I'm inspired to cook.
Yeah.
Like there was one of my relationships. This man loved casseroles. I didn't even know black people ate casseroles. I had to learn how to like. I had never made a casserole before. Yeah, it was. I didn't know. I didn't. That was new for me. But anyway, yeah. So innately, like we are women, we want to make a house a home.
Yeah.
We want to nurture. We want to, but if I'm over here in my masculine in survival mode, what do I need a man for?
Yeah.
I still, well,
What's up? What's up, Britt?
I'm trying to think about that because I feel like right now, I guess it depends on how every word needs definition, right? And so how do you define masculine, right? So for me, I can tell you, even as an entrepreneur, even as a successful person, listen, statistically, y'all, I should probably be my life, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. I'm dropping a little Langston Hughes on you, but I'm saying my life did not start out perfect, right? Statistically, I should probably be somewhere with a bunch of kids on welfare, right? But I got my undergraduate degree. You know what I mean? I went to divinity school. I went to law school. I never thought in a million years that I would be a lawyer or that I would have gone to Yale. You understand what I'm saying? Like I've gotten places, but even though I'm working for myself, let me be clear. While I don't want somebody who's detracting and taking away from what I am, I still want a partner.
Yes.
I do not, I have in no shape, form, or fashion do I think God created woman or man. It says, the Bible says, it is not good for man to be alone. So the inverse of that is it's not good for woman to be alone. And so at the end of the day, even though I feel like I'm operating in this independent space, I can guarantee you, that is not where I want to be
At all.
That's not.
It's
It's
not
like
out
we're
of
gonna rise to the
necessity, not
occasion every
desire.
time, but it's not because this, we want to be in this position.
Yeah.
It's necessity, not
Yeah.
desire.
Yeah.
We got bills to pay. We got
Well,
stuff to do.
Exactly.
We got some
Somebody's
very
got to do it.
we got some high value brothers that watch the show. So
Yeah.
look, fellas, the Instagrams is in the description, fellas. All right. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It might not last.
Not for Sarah. So
Not for
there's
Sarah?
two of us
Don't
here.
slide
Look.
in my DM.
Don't DM slide.
Oh wow.
Don't slide in my DM.
Close
Dang,
for
Sarah's
the evening.
tough.
I like that.
Yeah,
I do too. I love that for you, Sarah.
She said she might
I
be
love
dating
that
him
for
right
you.
now. She said that at the beginning of the show.
You know what I feel like? I feel like the way that I think when you are with your person or whatever, I'm not even gonna talk about me. I'm gonna talk about others. Okay, let's talk about others.
Let's talk about
I
you.
think I ain't talking about me. I'm gonna say, but I think a beautiful thing that we as women get to do is to be so down for our man that no other man can get in. Like there's no man that could take me away from my man. You know, like
when you're really
like,
in it.
yeah,
when he,
yeah.
exactly.
So I don't slide in my DMs.
You in that place right now where it's
You in
like
that place.
Don't slide in my DMs. That's
Now,
where the place I'm in.
oh, it's
has-
exclusive.
and
That's
he said what
exclusive.
Wow,
he's
that's
done
amazing.
some
Yeah.
things
I like
to get
that.
you to that point.
Say it again.
though. He's done some things to get you to that point to make you feel like,
We ain't talking about me right now.
oh my bad, I
Oh
forgot
my
this.
God.
was
She's
Hey,
trying to
hot.
keep a secret right now.
It's getting hot on Sarah right now.
I'm hot right now.
I like
my
this.
goodness.
I like that. He over
Wait,
here sweating in his
What you say?
damn.
We got a call in. He's calling in right now. We bring him on. No, I'm joking.
That would be so
That would have been incredible, right?
Oh, that would have been dope.
Because, matter of
Go
fact,
ahead
look,
and
matter of
text
fact, watch
him.
this.
Go
Look,
ahead and text
Sarah, look, we room for you. We're gonna do a special engagement show with you and that brother when y'all get engaged.
Wow.
We're gonna do a special show just for you guys.
sponsoring the wedding.
Say it again?
I hear a wedding
We-
sponsorship.
Harley Love dating card.
No.
We'll sponsor.
We're gonna do a special. We're gonna do a special live production of the wedding. We're gonna be at the wedding doing the show
Yeah.
live during the wedding.
Right.
I love that.
I'll take it.
Man, this is incredible though.
No,
Very-
this is a great conversation, ladies.
yeah,
I think
great
this was.
perspective.
I think I learned a lot. I think everybody got some really great perspectives from you ladies' stories, and in turning down a marriage proposal, calling off the wedding, I think the most important part of it is not just that it happened, but why it happened. And we went into some of the nitty-gritty details, which if y'all have not heard it, you got to start this thing back from the beginning
Yeah, it was good.
and running back, because I think y'all gave some good perspective to why that happened for both the ladies and the fellas. So I think it is a lot to learn here. So I appreciate you ladies coming up on here and dropping this game.
Big facts, big facts.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Wow.
Definitely. Thanks
That
for
was
having us.
awesome.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
y'all did a great job.
So
Great job.
I want to let's give one last shout out to our episode sponsor here before we send the ladies on.
Yeah. So this is the thing. Ladies and the gentlemen, is two things that you must have at your house when you have company. Okay. The first thing is snacks.
Oh,
You got-
come
'cause-
on, snack.
Shout out to TK Kirkland. Ladies love snacks.
They love
snacks.
And the second thing, is a game, and
Can
the
I open
Hardly
this?
in Love dating cards is by far the easiest game you can play and the most
Absolutely.
engaging. So over 100 open-ended questions, guys,
Oh,
to
I need
really
these.
ignite.
I need those in my life.
I mean, an incredible
Can I
experience. You
open
do-
this
you do
and
need
read
those.
one card?
We will
Just
take care of
one
you.
card.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead,
I really,
go ahead.
I want to know what we getting into in here.
Yeah, we got
okay?
you. We
Go
got
ahead.
you.
How-
So open.
Okay,
It's
she
okay.
broke the
So
package,
she's
guys.
destroying it.
She just
She's
broke the
destroying
package.
it.
Okay, it's
It's-
because there's
it's-
a card right here. Well,
Okay,
we
what's
got?
the card say?
Uh-oh.
Oh, this is great.
What you got?
What's
This
this
is
one?
cute. This is a cute question. Okay, if you could choose any superpower, but it could only be used in everyday life, what would it be? That was an easy question.
Wait. So what's your answer?
If I could use a superpower and it has to be used in everyday life, teleportation.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
teleport me
Why is that?
because I get everywhere faster. Oh my God, I could take my
Inside
friends.
the
Let's go to
bank.
Japan.
When her man's in
We're
a
in
meeting.
Miami. We're in,
I'm in that
So see, guys, see, here's the thing.
To
A
stalk her
big,
partner. That's why she
a
said
big
that.
part of this, the questions, guys, it's never, and this for my fellas, it's never what they say, it's why they say it. Okay? So always, you got to look behind it. She's late. She's tardy. She's a procrastinator.
I am
You
not-
got to peep
Whoa,
it.
Right.
So the reason we can...
Hold up now.
I'm just kidding, sir. But see, that's the beauty of these questions. See, they start off cute, but the thing about it is, y'all want to
We
actually...
can't read too many because they gotta buy them.
I know. I just want
The
to.
So is
beauty
this
of it
on
is...
You
your-
would never make it through all of those questions. That's
Okay.
a
It's just
guarantee.
dense. That's
One
why we put
more?
100 in there, and we had a lot of fun with putting together.
No.
100. What you
Leave
got?
it. No.
What you got? What you got?
I want to play.
You want me to open it
Are
for you?
you?
No.
Are you open to bringing someone else? Into
It's gonna
the
be a
bed?
no.
Whoa.
now.
That's the X-rated edition.
That's the X-rated
That's the
edition.
Oh, it's gonna be a no though.
Look,
No.
See, but here's the
It's
thing.
a
These are
no.
important questions to ask.
These are
they are
important
so
The person you dating.
important.
Watch when he slipped that polygamy
struggling
conversation
up
on
this
you, and you
box.
weren't ready for it.
So hard,
It's
right?
not gonna happen.
You see, Dr. Umar, he need 2 queens. You better have that conversation early.
Seriously.
Hey, but look, listen.
And look,
First of all,
listen.
thank you so much for opening. We actually never opened it and had fun
And
with the
at
people
this
like
point,
that.
y'all can have those cards. But you got to use
Oh,
them.
thank you.
What you got
I
to do is
promise.
actually. I got you.
I need a
got you.
picture.
I
You
got
need
you.
to send us your picture.
I picked the same one as you.
Look how
Send
cute
us your
this is.
picture.
Look, can we just zoom in? Is there a way? Look how.
Adorable.
Yeah,
look
they
at
know.
the-
They know.
Look at this. Come, D. We need
Yeah,
you.
we can.
Look at how cute this is. It says Hardly in Love on the back, dating edition, and it's like a man and a woman. And look how cute they are on the front. And it's big font. If you aren't great at seeing like myself,
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
you
These
know,
quality
the vision.
cards.
These are quality. They're like a matte,
it.
thick. This is you guys
I'm so
did
excited.
this.
Very
Yes.
quality.
Yeah.
This is
Excited.
Good
It's
awesome.
very, it's, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's no
I love
Custom.
it.
no cutting corners
Yeah.
No.
on the
Straight to the
quality
point.
of
The
the
corners
card.
are
In fact,
rounded.
we actually just did this for all
what you did there.
domestic orders, guys. Free shipping.
Oh,
Everything
lovely.
free shipping in the US, regardless of how many of these decks you order. Because we actually had somebody come on there and order 15 decks, which is
I'll
I
be
have no
promoting.
idea
Yes.
why they want to use
Oh, they're
15
ready.
decks. But
They're
Gifts.
ready.
They're great
free
gifts.
shipping on
I
all
love
US
it.
orders, and we are dropping should be by the end of end of this week. Actually, I would say about
Ooh.
Thursday and Friday we will have international shipping because we begin
Oh,
a bunch of people hitting us
wow.
up
Yeah.
from Kenya, Canada, South Africa,
UK.
really all over
I
the
love
world.
it.
So just be patient.
So check this out. Well, go ahead. What'd you guys?
I was just going to say, in that way, you will unlock deep connections and spark romance with Hardly in Love
promotion.
trading
Right.
cards. Delve into captivating conversations and uncover the secrets to true chemistry.
Mm.
Whether you're spicing up a game night or adding intrigue to your date night, Hardly in Love is your passport to unforgettable moments and meaningful connections.
She
Oh my
does
God.
voiceovers. Yes.
Facts.
Hire her.
She needs to be on
I
your
do
next
that.
commercial.
Absolutely.
I
We're gonna
like
do it.
that.
So we're gonna have to stand for no commercial
Period.
coming for you guys. We're gonna have the commercial coming. I just need look. Y'all can have just make sure
I'm
y'all
gonna need
can y'all take a
20%.
picture.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Y'all
take
can take a
Yeah.
picture with it, please send it to us.
Yes.
We're gonna put y'all on one of the shows.
We
y'all
don't
send
know
us
if the
the
day
picture
went
in.
well, depending on how they answer those questions.
Yeah, we should be married in
Right.
Marriage guaranteed. Hey, honestly, look, cut that one out. But
Yeah.
but check this out, y'all. I want to let you guys know, as you know, this is the Sunday night show. You got to tune in tomorrow. We got something very special coming. I don't know if any of you guys got your Chrisette Michelle tickets. She's actually performing
Oh,
here in Atlanta, and she will be here on the Harley Initiated set tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Shout out to Chrisette Michelle.
Chrisette Michelle will be here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Our show is 8 p.m. Eastern time.
And we talking relationships. She actually got something very special.
Yes.
She wants to share with the audience, but we talking about relationships. I'm very curious to get.
And she's gonna have a conversation with us that she's never had anywhere.
Wow.
Tomorrow night. And y'all just make sure y'all tune in.
Y'all make sure y'all tune in. Let me give this shameless plug. So I was at my church. I was at New Birth when TED Talk, Morris Brown did their set. And I hadn't really heard much from Chrisette since the whole inauguration situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I tell you her TED Talk was so powerful, I literally had this one thought in my mind about her, right? And the way she dropped that information, I said, okay. I told Pastor Bryant, I said, that's your new executive right there, because she's dope. Like she's that dope. So I'm sure that she's gonna bring the same kind of fire on the show tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yes, y'all.
We vet the guests. We vet the guests, pretty thoroughly before we bring them on Hardly Initiated.
Yes.
Right.
So that's why I encourage every single one of you watching to follow these three beautiful ladies on here.
Okay.
It's gonna bring you some beauty and some good energy
Everything
on your
in the description.
timelines. Okay, so big shout out to Chelsea Goriella.
Yeah.
Goriello.
I said Goriello.
No,
That was my accent.
It wasn't a, you see that
Goriello?
Yeah, there you
Goriello?
Goriello.
No, big shout out
It's Italian.
to Courtney Goriello coming on here all the way from Las Vegas.
Right.
Big shout out to you. We got Sarah Fontenot, frequent
up?
flyer of the platform, has been here. And Brittany Backus also here,
First
having a
timer.
good time with us, first timer. And thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
And we love you guys especially, man. Y'all better not leave here without liking and subscribing to this channel. And you already know, Hardly Initiated.
Bye.
We are out.